Chapter 161, Willingly Exploited. Fang Yuan put down his cup, sitting down. Only then did everyone dare to sit down. Among them, not all the classmates were present. For example, Mo Bei, Qi Cheng, and the others with strong backgrounds, were not among the ones present. It's about time, I have to go. This was a well-organized meetup. Fang Yuan showed his inclination to leave. Guyu Dingzong, upon hearing the praise, was overjoyed and quickly stood up, taking out a money bag from his pocket. The bag was filled with primeval stones. He smiled and bowed. Upon hearing Lord's wisdom today, I've felt a strong sense of enlightenment, reaping a great reward. This is a small gift, but I hope Lord can accept my token of gratitude. He talked a bunch of crap, and from the start of the banquet, he had been flattering Fang Yuan non-stop, so how could he have gotten any enlightenment? But everyone else acted as if this indeed really happened, shouting loudly and urging Fang Yuan to accept his gratitude. Fang Yuan did not reject, smiling lightly and naturally taking over this money bag. Next, was the second, and the third, simultaneously coming up to offer their gifts, all primeval stones. All right. Fang Yuan smiled as he accepted them all. Tens of bags filled with primeval stones, how could Fang Yuan carry them all? Guyu Dingzong, on seeing this, quickly summoned a few family servants to carry his load for him. In this short amount of time, Fang Yuan gained almost 10,000 primeval stones. Lastly, Fang Yuan slowly stood up, raising his cup once again. Our encounter is by fate, this classmate relationship, both you and I remember it at heart. This is truly worth drinking over. Yes. Well said, Lord Fang Yuan. Such perfect phrasing, taking the words right out of our hearts, this is talent, no doubt. Everyone stood up, praising as they raised their cups. They either had no background, or their background was not strong enough. Fang Yuan advanced to clan elder, and they were afraid of his revenge, but at the same time they also wanted to enter Fang Yuan's social network. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, raising his hand and toasting with his wine cup. At this point, the dark clouds dissipated, showing the lustrous moonlight enveloping the garden outside. The cool air was mixed with the smell of blood, and reality was extremely cruel. But in this hall, it was exquisite with beautiful lights and decorations, overflowing with wine and fortune, and everyone smiled superficially as if they were in heaven on earth. This is the allure of the system. Fang Yuan's eyes glinted, as he stared at the wine in his cup, his mind thought about it. Back then, when he extorted his classmates, it was only several primeval stones, but he incurred public outcry. However, right now, he didn't even have to say a word. Yet these people were all willing, fighting to be the first to give him primeval stones, each bag having over 100 primeval stones. This differential treatment, on the surface it looked like the result of Fang Yuan's elder status. In reality, the truth was because he had previously been outside the system. Right now, however, he had entered the organization's higher management. Under the system, the members are all exploited willingly. Even without any hints from Fang Yuan, they would come forth and bribe him. Some would use their network to get into his faction, while women used their charms to get closer. It works this way in this world, and the same goes on Earth as well. This world's people are hilarious. Being robbed and extorted only for a meager loss, and they resist violently, screaming injustice. But bribing the higher-ups, sending gifts, bodies and virginities, they do it willingly. And they are even afraid that it's not enough. Being able to get so many primeval stones today, this is all borrowing the power of the system. Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart, thinking of Guyu Qingshu, Mo Yen and Qi Shan. Talented people like Guyu Qingshu having B-grade talent, they had much greater cultivating talent than Fang Yuan. But all of them cultivated slowly, staying at rank 2 realm for a long time. Did they not work hard enough? Hee hee. Let's laugh a little. This is the deprivation and pressure from the system. Such deprivation and pressure, it is invisible. Ordinary people cannot even feel it. Taking Fang Yuan's situation for example. The primeval stones these people gifted, if used on themselves, would definitely be a driving force towards their own cultivation. Thus, bribery is a form of deprivation. Numerous lower rankers fight to bribe the higher-ups. This was a form of gathering resources and fortifying the authority of the higher-ups. Other than monetary fortune, there is also the deprivation of time. Elites like Gu Yuqing did not need to bribe others, but their time was used up. Telling you to do this and that on a daily basis, running errands, doing missions, but acting rightfully so, this is for the higher-ups' attention and favor. If this time was used to cultivate, Gu Yuqing would have broken through rank 2 peak stage and reached rank 3. Then using the wood charm Gu, he might have even been able to kill by Ning Bing. The amazing part was that, the clan elders did not want this junior Gu Yuqing to advance to rank 3 so quickly. For such a useful pawn piece, if he really became rank 3 and was on the same status as them, how can they make use of him? Who is willing to have their authority shaved? Thus, they consciously dragged and suppressed him, even using the reason of, I think well of this lad, but he needs to train. Only by refining can he become a true jade. Hee hee. This is the truth of the system. If one cannot see beyond this, regardless of how heroic they are or how talented one is, they are merely tigers and dragons chained up, only being slaves. People like Gu Yuqing and Qi Zhong, no matter how intelligent or talented they are, so what? Although he had so many thoughts, his thoughts flashed in an instant, and only a second passed in real life. Everyone, please drink up. Fang Yuan moved the cup to his lips, downing the drink in one mouthful. Everyone quickly toasted him, not daring to leave behind a single drop. Goodbye. Fang Yuan cupped his fists, taking his leave. The family servants held the primeval stones as they followed behind him. Everyone quickly sent him off. Please continue drinking, you don't have to send me off, Fang Yuan said, but everyone did not do so. Instead, they left their seats and continued their flattery. Fang Yuan continued, I like peace and quiet. Seeing his expression, everyone finally got his intentions and remained in the hall. Seeing Fang Yuan's figure leaving, some people sighed, while others remained silent, and someone exclaimed, Elder Fang Yuan truly is a legend, such elegance. They were all frogs in the well, only able to see the moon from below, thinking about Fang Yuan's unrestrained position but not being able to see beyond the system's restrictions. Actually, as long as one joins the system, they would be weakened, and their benefits would be sacrificed. Even the clan leader has to sacrifice. He needed to manage the clan, and with this he contributed much of time and effort. It is just that the members at the bottom of the chain are deprived more severely. The higher one's status is, the more benefits one will enjoy. Initially, when Fang Yuan extorted primeval stones, he worked against the system, acting alone and not even sparing his own brother. That was to avoid this deprivation. Thus, he had ample time and energy to advance to rank 3 and become a clan elder, causing numerous people to scream in wonder. But now that he had undergone a huge transformation, becoming a clan elder, his temperament became mild and respectful with authority and status, enjoying the benefits of a clan elder, causing many to be filled with envy. This separation and joining, entering and leaving, is filled with deep wisdom and knowledge. But how many people can see clearly across this fact? Fang Yuan was not exploited, but he still enjoyed the benefits. In the eyes of mortals, this is unrestrained in elegance. Alright, "Put the things on the table and you can go," Fang Yuan said. The family servants did not dare to have an opinion, quietly placing down the items and bowing to Fang Yuan before taking their leave. This is no longer the rented apartment Fang Yuan stayed in before. After advancing to elder, the clan allocated him a brand new bamboo building. There was a study room and a secret room for closed-door cultivation in the bamboo building, but there were no family servants. Fang Yuan needed to find them himself. "Cicada flower, come out." Fang Yuan willed in his heart, and with the injection of his white-silver primeval essence, the Cicada flower residing on his tongue as a tattoo came alive immediately. He opened his mouth and spit out, only to see red light appearing as the Cicada flower rotated gradually like a lantern in mid-air, floating and appearing in front of him. Fang Yuan activated the Cicada flower. Instantly, red light flashed and caused the entire area to be lit in a red hue. When the red light shone upon the pieces of primeval stones, there was a formless attraction and all the stones flew out of their bags and entered the Cicada flower. A moment later, the red light dissipated and Fang Yuan opened his mouth. The Cicada flower entered his mouth once more, landing on his tongue and turning into a red flower lantern tattoo. This Cicada flower is a rank 3 Gu, able to store primeval stones and other things. Among the rank 3 storage Gu, this is one of the better ones, being able to store a max of 30,000 primeval stones. But considering that I have to store other things as well, the most would probably be around 15,000 primeval stones. Although it was his first time using this Gu worm, with his previous life's experience, he could quickly estimate the limit of the Gu. Primeval stones are the most basic resource for a Gu master's cultivation, undeniably. Without primeval stones, Gu masters would lack a driving force severely. And primeval stones also help in quickly restoring primeval essence, so in battle it has a lot of help. Especially for Gu masters who travel alone, primeval stones are the most basic assurance for traveling. Normally, they would need at least 10,000 primeval stones to ensure that a Gu master has the basic needs covered for a period of time. And every once in a while, they require replenishment. A saving of 15,000 primeval stones, to Fang Yuan, was still too little, but also at an acceptable range. First I borrowed 3,000 primeval stones from Qiu Yan, and with today's earnings, I do not have to fret over primeval stones for a while. In the 6 classifications, I have the Blood Moon Gu and Sky Canopy Gu for attack and defense, Thunder Wings for movement, Cicada Flower for storage, and Earth Communication Ear Grass for recon. I only lack a Healing Gu, Fang Yuan calculated. He previously had a 9-leaf Vitality Grass, but Fang Yuan handed it up already, thus being able to get the Cicada Flower. But for this rank 2 9-leaf Vitality Grass, even in Fang Yuan's possession, the healing ability was not satisfactory. Rank 3 Healing Gu Worms, there are a few desirable ones. Endless Vitality Gu can sustain healing and expends little primeval essence. On this note, it is the best for Gu masters like me with low aptitude. There's also the Undying Grass, a Gu that can save me as long as I have a single breath left. This is the best life preservation type of Gu. The most optimum is the Self-Reliance Gu, relying on the Gu master's own strength. The larger the Gu master's strength, the more it can stimulate the metabolism of the Gu master and thus recover injuries faster. But for these 3 Gu worms, how can Fang Yuan obtain them? In the Guyu clan, he even checked the underground cavern, but found no such Gu. On the resource board, they would also not display such a precious Gu. The only hope lies in the Flower Wine Monk's inheritance. But the chances were slim. Fang Yuan barely held any hope. He could feel that the Flower Wine Monk's inheritance was coming to an end. How could there be the exact Gu that Fang Yuan needs right at the end? If that was the case, it would be too perfect, too idealistic. But Fang Yuan knew how cruel this world was. Placing your faith in such a thing, that's naivety. But even so, I have to finish exploring this inheritance ground. At least for that chainsaw golden centipede, I have to subdue it, Fang Yuan thought in his heart. Chapter 162, Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus. Although he had planned to investigate the flower wine inheritance ground, Fang Yuan couldn't find the time to do so. With his elder status, many were watching him, and with the busy schedule of the Wolf Tide, many battles had to be fought and he did not have an opportunity to leave. By the time he returned to the rock crack secret cave, it was over 10 days later. The end of summer, night time. The rain just stopped, bringing the atmosphere of autumn itself. In the sky, a golden moon was hanging, round like a plate, high up in the sky. Hearing vague wolf cries mixed with the remaining crickets, Fang Yuan stood on a slope, turning back and observing. Guyu village was bright with numerous lamps lighted. The torn walls had been fixed over and over, losing the peace and tranquility it once had. It was almost like a huge beast that had undergone numerous battles, lying on the ground gasping for breath. After my rebirth, even the wolf tide's progress has changed much. In my memory, the Thunder Crown Wolf arrived 3 days ago, but now it is nowhere to be seen. Fang Yuan took a look, before moving his sight. Tonight he had managed to squeeze out some time, and had to make good use of it. A moment later, he entered the rock crack secret cave again. The cave entrance was purposely covered with gray ash. There had never been any footsteps on it, showing that this place was yet undiscovered. This small kind of detection method could not be called professional, but Fang Yuan's experience placed them to good use. Of course, he did not only have one method of precaution, and after several layers of checking, he finally confirmed that this secret cave was still safe for the time being. He breathed a sigh of relief. After all, since his rebirth, many things had been altered. Especially during the Wolf Tide, Gu masters moved around more frequently, so someone might have discovered this place. He entered the tunnel and went into the second secret room. Pushing open the rock door, he entered the rock forest. In the rock forest, the path that he once excavated was filled with jade-eye stone monkeys again. But the Fang Yuan now is already a rank 3 Gu master. Although the Blood Moon Gu did not have the highest attacking power among the rank 3 Gu worms, it was definitely far superior than the Moonglow Gu. Fang Yuan spent 6 hours, exterminating almost 10 groups of monkeys, reopening a path for himself. He came to the most central area and stepped down the rough rock stairs, entering the third secret room. A rock door blocked his path, and on the rock door there was a carving. Golden Centipede's cave is precarious, Earth communication is the way to avoid the disaster. Last time, he had been stuck at this step. But this time, he opened the rock door with no hesitation, striding into the darkness. He held a torch that illuminated the surrounding 10 steps. This centipede cave was wide, having a height of 3 meters, and breadth of 2 meters. There were also many narrow paths that extended all over the place. Wherever Fang Yuan walked, the fire would proceed to light up the place and dispel the darkness. Initially the cave only had the sound of his footsteps, but soon all sorts of noises came from all over the place. The sound gathered into one collective body, continuously sounding. At the edge of the lighted area, he soon saw a large number of centipedes. They were ferocious. It was only due to the bright fire that they did not attack Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan knew that as time passed, the centipedes would increase in number, and with the back pushing the ones in front, this stalemate would soon be broken. But he did not mind it. If he was still rank 2 with only the White Jade Gu's defense, he would definitely not cause such a commotion, attracting the movement of the centipede group. But now that he was rank 3, the Sky Canopy Gu's defense was enough for him to withstand the bites of the insects, and his only concern was the insect king of the place, Chainsaw Golden Centipede. It had appeared. Fang Yuan purposely used a trace of his white-silver primeval essence from his aperture, releasing it into the air, exposing his rank 3 Gu Master aura. This aura caused the chainsaw golden centipede to feel a strong threat. To it, Fang Yuan had stepped into his territory, and this wild beast needed to be eliminated immediately. Fang Yuan stood on guard against it. This chainsaw golden centipede was around a meter long, its body as wide as 2 fists. It first landed at the fringe of the lighted area, coiling its body around it, like python ambushing its prey. But in the next moment, it moved slowly with numerous legs sustaining its weight as it gradually got closer towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's rank 3 aura only made it alert and not afraid. If he was rank 4, it would not pressure Fang Yuan like this. If he was rank 5 and only revealed a bit of that aura, it would run for its life. Fang Yuan raised the torch high. As the fire burned, it illuminated the surroundings and the shadows' movements. Under the glow of the fire, the chainsaw golden centipede's exoskeleton emitted an eerie light. At the side of its body, there were silver-colored saw teeth. As it got closer, the saw teeth moved as well, looking like a slowed chainsaw, emitting a buzzing sound. The other centipedes gathered towards Fang Yuan from the walls and the ground. Some centipedes climbed to the ceiling, then dropped down, landing on Fang Yuan's shoulder and back. Fang Yuan did not mind it. He activated the sky canopy Gu, and a thick white crystal light appeared on his body, the form of an armor subtly showing as it covered him fully. The centipede's poisonous limbs could not do anything against this white crystal armor. The twisting and turning centipedes climbed on his face or behind his ears. It was a little disgusting, but Fang Yuan's endurance level was way beyond this, thus ignoring them completely. In his previous life, he had eaten almost anything in the wilderness, and even non-poisonous centipedes were eaten raw. In fact, the taste was not that bad, almost a bit strange initially, but he got used to it after eating them for a while. He only placed his attention on the chainsaw golden centipede. The chainsaw golden centipede moved gradually, reducing the distance between Fang Yuan and itself. When there was a distance of 3 to 4 steps between them, Fang Yuan stopped the white-silver primeval essence from leaking, and this caused his aura to instantly weaken. The chainsaw golden centipede acutely felt that, thus instantly increasing its speed, moving like a golden line. Pew! In the blink of an eye, it had shortened the distance, and coiled around Fang Yuan's stomach. This speed was really fast. It first appeared motionless, then on the very moment it moved, it dashed through like a golden light. When Fang Yuan managed to react, this chainsaw golden centipede had already coiled around his waist like a snake, opening its mouth and attacking towards Fang Yuan's face. Fang Yuan quickly stretched out both arms, grabbing the head of this golden centipede. The chainsaw golden centipede struggled, and Fang Yuan, who had the strength of 2 boars, felt that his strength was insufficient. Especially when the chainsaw golden centipede's 2-bladed edges started to move rapidly. Clank, clank, clank. A strong pulling and slashing force grinded at the white light of the sky canopy Gu. At once, Fang Yuan's white-silver primeval essence was rapidly used up as the white light grinded with the chainsaws, causing sparks to fly. Fang Yuan's primeval essence was only initial stage light silver primeval essence, and with only 42% in storage, it could not support such an expenditure. However, Fang Yuan was unfazed. Even though he could not get free from the chainsaw golden centipede, he had a trump card. Spring-Autumn Cicada. He willed in his heart, and the Spring-Autumn Cicada's shadow appeared from his aperture. The Spring-Autumn Cicada was gradually recovering, its 2 wings were tender and new like fresh leaves, and at the same time its body had a royal wooden luster. But overall, it still gave off a withered feeling of death. It had recovered around 20%, thus its aura was much stronger. Once this aura was leaked, the chainsaw golden centipede that was struggling intensely immediately surrendered. It was only a rank 3 wild goo worm. Against the aura of the rank 6 spring-autumn cicada, it did not dare to move at all. Fang Yuan felt it most evidently. Previously he was still gripping the chainsaw golden centipede like a poisonous python, using all ways to prevent it from biting. The next moment, it had become a soft and harmless rope. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, using his white-silver primeval essence onto the chainsaw golden centipede that had basically given up. Fang Yuan's will worked without obstacles, completely eliminating the wild consciousness it had. In a few breaths' time, the chainsaw golden centipede was already refined by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan let go of both hands. The chainsaw golden centipede's numerous segments moved with rhythm, moving across the white protective armor and around Fang Yuan's waist, finally twisting and coiling around his arm. The surrounding centipede groups went away like a receding tide. The wild chainsaw golden centipede, because of its natural consciousness, was able to dominate the insect group. But now that Fang Yuan's will replaced it, the chainsaw golden centipede lost its ability to communicate and control the group. Fang Yuan did not eliminate these centipedes, instead letting them leave. Maybe in another dozen-plus years, a new chainsaw golden centipede might be born. But this no longer had anything to do with Fang Yuan. He let the chainsaw golden centipede hang on his shoulder as he investigated deeper into the cave. This centipede tunnel had a lot of paths, and after moving for a while, the main path split into 3 branches. Fang Yuan first used the earth communication ear grass, and after a while, he eliminated the center path. Choosing the path on the right, he moved for half an hour and found a dead end. He could only backtrack and go through the left path. By keeping the chainsaw golden centipede, he could deter the centipede groups and cause them to move away from wherever he goes with the golden centipede's aura. This greatly aided his search. Not long after he entered the left path, the centipede group that moved away revealed a cave, and he found some clues there. These are signs of human construction. Fang Yuan's heart was moved. Very evidently, this path was dug out by the flower wine monk initially using the thousandly earth wolf spider. Fang Yuan moved along this path at a slow pace, patiently investigating. There were a lot of centipedes in this path, and this was another piece of good news for Fang Yuan. This is because areas with insect groups living there allowed him to eliminate the possibility of placed traps. This tunnel was longer than he expected. Fang Yuan spent over 12 hours and walked over 3 li worth of distance. The slope gradually moved down as Fang Yuan approached a deep underground area. Every once in a while, he stopped and used the earth communication ear grass to eliminate any possible threats. Swoosh swish. What sound is this? Fang Yuan eventually heard a weird noise. Immediately, he noticed what it was. This is water, don't tell me. His thought moved quickly as he had an idea. At the end of the tunnel, he saw a crystal wall. And behind the crystal wall, was water. In the water, there was an ash-gray-colored river that flowed in a spiral, like a mini tornado, endlessly swirling in a self-sufficient system. As I thought, this is a natural essence spring. Seeing this, Fang Yuan's attention was piqued. Soon after, he saw that behind this watery crystal wall, there was something else in the spring. A flower bud with the colors of blue and white following one another, was leisurely floating in the spring water. This is actually the heavenly essence treasure lotus. Fang Yuan was shocked. Note, this tunnel was longer than he expected. Fang Yuan spent over 12 hours and walked over 3 li worth of distance. Li is 500 meters, I don't know why he took 12 hours just to walk 1.5 kilometers lol. It's not even an exaggeration. Chapter 163, Thunder Crown Wolf. As Fang Yuan looked at the heavenly essence treasure lotus, many doubts in his heart was cleared. He could roughly speculate what had happened. Going back in time, a millennium ago. A solitary rank 5 Gu master came upon Qing Mao Mountain and incidentally found this underground natural spirit spring. He was exalted and settled down here. He began merging the mortal villagers living around the foot of the mountain together, forming the prototype of Guyu village. He took in over 100 wives and concubines, wantonly spreading his bloodline. He was the ancestor of Guyu clan, the founder of Guyu village. Time passed by, and he passed away ending the first generation, then it was the second, third until it reached the fourth generation. The fourth generation clan leader possessed an A-grade aptitude and cultivated to rank 5, creating another golden age for the clan. One day, a demonic path Gu master came to the village. He was bald and muscular, dressed in pink clothes and moved alone. His favorite hobby was to defile innocent women. It was the famous devil of the demonic path, Flower Wine Monk. Who knew what fortuitous encounter this Flower Wine Monk had, to be able to know the recipe to refine heavenly essence treasure lotus. After many preparations, he only lacked a natural spirit spring to refine this flower Gu. After looking all around, he finally chose Guyu village's spirit spring. At first, he used the pretense of buying Moon Orchid to slowly approach the Guyu clan's higher-ups and get the details on Guyu clan. Afterwards, in the battle with the fourth-generation clan leader, he was able to achieve complete victory with his formidable strength. He had not only killed the fourth-generation head, but also downed a large majority of the elders. However, his body was infected by the Moonshadow Gu. Moonshadow Gu's ability was to restrict primeval essence and wasn't enough to be fatal. However, Flower Wine Monk couldn't wantonly slaughter if he wanted to refine the heavenly essence treasure lotus, as that would attract a lot of attention and hinder the progress. Thus, he chose to do things from the dark. He used the thousandly earthwolf spider to dig out a tunnel, secretly advancing to this area. Due to the thorough preparations he had made before and with the sufficient materials, he was able to refine heavenly essence treasure lotus in the spirit spring. The heavenly essence treasure lotus has an extraordinary background. Its fusion recipe had been created many millenniums ago by a Gu master of the righteous faction, Immortal Venerable Genesis Lotus. Heavenly essence treasure lotus was only a rank 3 flower Gu, but it had its advancement route and could become the rank 6 Heavenly Essence Treasure Imperial Lotus, which was ranked 6th among the list of top 10 Great Immortal Gu rankings. Its worth was about the same as the Spring-Autumn Cicada. The Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus had a reputation as a portable spirit spring, because it could produce primeval stones. However, its fusion process had an extremely high price. To refine the heavenly essence treasure lotus, there must be a natural spirit spring. This spring should be full of primeval energy, and cannot be a spirit spring that has been used for many years, with its reserves drying out. After the fusion succeeds, this spirit spring will be thoroughly useless and will lose its ability to produce primeval stones, becoming just an ordinary spring. A natural spirit spring is extremely valuable. One only needs to look at how this spirit spring has sustained countless Gu masters of the Guyu clan for close to a millennium to realize this point. Refining a heavenly essence treasure lotus would completely destroy this spirit spring. But that was just the beginning. If it was to be advanced to rank 4, it would need 7 spirit springs, 9 at rank 5, and 11 for rank 6. Apart from this, many extremely precious Gu worms would be needed as auxiliary ingredients. If I take this heavenly essence treasure lotus, it would be like carrying a mini-scale spirit spring with me. The heavenly essence treasure lotus is only a rank 3 Gu, so its daily primeval stones production can't compare to a normal spirit spring, but the amount will be enough to sustain my cultivation expenditure. This was just one of its benefits. The primeval stones produced by Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus were a lot more than the earnings from the 9 Leaves Vitality Grass. Primeval stones can not only help in advancing cultivation, they are also an exchangeable form of currency. With the treasure lotus, Fang Yuan could decrease the amount of primeval stones he carried. The Cicada flower could then be used to store various stuffs which could greatly decrease the burden on him. However, I heard that the fusion process of the treasure lotus is quite mysterious. It appears from nothing during which it transits between the astral and physical form. Ordinary people can't see it, and it can only be seen clearly through the crystal. This gu is quite delicate and needs to be nourished within the spirit spring for 9 days and 9 nights until it grows out 9 intact leaves, before it can be plucked and put into the primeval sea in the aperture. If one picks it up before the time is ripe, all their efforts would be completely wasted. Fang Yuan didn't know the detailed recipe of Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus and only knew some insider rumors. He had no idea on how to advance it in the future. Even so, this rank 3 Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus would be of an enormous assistance to him. He looked beyond the crystal wall and carefully observed. To his surprise, the flower only had 8 and a damaged half leaf. There was only half a leaf left for the 9 complete leaves. Fang Yuan wasn't baffled by this. Centuries had passed, the spirit spring's reserves had been consumed for 4 generations of time. This Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus condensed the majority of the spirit spring's essence, constantly consuming the primeval stones produced by the spirit spring, and causing the spirit spring's reserves to further decrease. As a result, the treasure lotus slowly began to reverse the absorption, instead replenishing the damage to the spirit spring. By doing this, it was damaging itself. This was the reason for the damaged leaf. Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus must have 9 complete leaves before it can be plucked. It only has 8 leaves and a half now. I need to throw in primeval stones to the spring if I am to pluck it. Primeval stones were the crystallization of the spirit spring. They could provide the nourishment to the treasure lotus and let it grow again. However, don't underestimate this half-damaged leaf. It was sure to require large amounts of primeval stones for it to grow back. If I am not wrong, this crystal wall should be produced by a moat gu. Fang Yuan tried to touch the wall, and found that this wall was real but also virtual, just like light and shadow. His hands went through the wall without any obstruction. But he quickly took back his hand and didn't dare to go deep into the spirit spring. Spirit springs should never be polluted. He poured his primeval essence into the Cicada flower and took out a primeval stone. He threw the primeval stone through the crystal wall. As if the wall didn't exist, the primeval stone went through it and dropped into the spirit spring, striking onto the phantom figure of the Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus. Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus transited between blue and white and started shaking like water ripples. It digested the primeval stone in almost an instant. After waiting for the flower to turn calm, Fang Yuan observed it attentively, but found no change in that damaged leaf. His expression was calm. He started throwing in dozens of primeval stones, but there was still no change to the damaged leaf. Fang Yuan continued to throw in primeval stones while silently counting the number. When over 500 primeval stones were thrown, the damaged leaf finally grew by a little. After the sight of this scene, Fang Yuan couldn't help but feel slightly gloomy. From this calculation, he had to throw in at least over 50,000 primeval stones in at one time. If he did it in batches and the time gap was long, Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus would consume itself to replenish the spirit spring as the clan continuously extracted primeval stones. Over 50,000 primeval stones. I only have just over 10,000 with me and lack 40,000 more. With his status as an elder, raising these 40,000 primeval stones wasn't really a problem. The true problem, however, lay elsewhere. Once he took out this Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus, the spirit spring would be completely useless, and this was bound to attract the whole clan's furious and frantic investigation. Fang Yuan had plentiful experience, but he had limited methods. If the clan investigated without any considerations, they were sure to find some clues. In fact, the clan's higher-ups were already suspicious of him, but their suspicions were temporarily suppressed by the wolf tide. If the flower wine monk's inheritance was exposed, Fang Yuan would definitely be the primary suspect. Even if Fang Yuan secretly escaped, he would suffer the whole clan's reckless chase. I can't give up over the heavenly essence treasure lotus. Even if I don't have its fusion recipe, who knows what the future holds. The problem is that once I take this gu, it is akin to stabbing a hornet's nest and bringing calamity upon myself. Fang Yuan secretly considered every situation and decided he had to wait for the best opportunity to appear, to take this heavenly essence treasure lotus. This heavenly essence treasure lotus should be the last inheritance of Flower Wine Monk. But there are many suspicious points to this. Flower Wine Monk would have come to this place to refine the heavenly essence treasure lotus, so what kind of accident did he encounter to be so seriously injured that he had to hurriedly set up this inheritance before dying? Fang Yuan already knew the reason for the Flower Wine Monk to set up the inheritance. It was to take revenge against the Guyu clan. If Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus was to be taken out of the Spirit Spring, whether it was a success or failure, this natural Spirit Spring was bound to be useless. Without the natural Spirit Spring, Guyu clan would have no foundation to stay here. It was only a matter of time before the clan broke apart. Forget it, I won't make any headway in my doubts without any new evidence. I should return to the village now. In the end, Fang Yuan shook his head and began to return back the way he came. When he had just exited the rock crack, a loud and clear wolf howl continuously resounded. This sound. Fang Yuan turned grim and quickly moved. When he reached the riverbank outside of the rock crack, he could smell a thick odor of blood. Sounds of cries, yells, wolf howls and explosions could be heard even though there was still some distance to the village. Fang Yuan concealed his figure and climbed a hill. It was early in the morning and the first rays of sunlight had just broken out of the sky. Countless wolf packs were rushing towards the Guyu village like a flood. Fang Yuan's gaze swept past them, then his body trembled. In the rearmost part of the wolf packs, he saw a lightning wolf that was as large as a small hill. Myriad Beast King, Thunder Crown Wolf. It was tall and slim, had strong limbs and its whole body was covered with eerie blue scales. Tufts of golden wolf fur could be seen on its claws and tail. The fur on its head were all stiff and upraised, forming a towering crown. It was crouching on the ground and was still like a sculpture. The frenzy lightning wolves and bold lightning wolves around it constantly howled, serving to show its elegance and nobility. Just by sitting there, it had already brought a great mental pressure to the Guyu clan. The Myriad Beast King has finally arrived, it is the decisive moment for the survival of the Guyu village. Fang Yuan gazed towards the village. Innumerable Gu masters were in fierce battles, using all of their strength to block the frantic charge of the wolf tide. Suddenly, around 10 figures flew out of the village and rushed against the wolf tide, charging towards the Thunder Crown Wolf. They were all elders and in front of them was the clan leader Guyu Bo. Chapter 164, Intense Battle. If one wants to fight against the Thunder Crown Wolf, one must strike first. Its strength is just too great, and if it was let into the village, it would definitely cause great losses and damage. This group's capabilities were huge. With the rank 4 clan leader Guyu Bo as the leader, and his elders as his support, they were a strong attacking force. The wolf tide was surging violently, yet they went against it with careful and compact cooperation. As if the group was a warship, splitting the waves apart, advancing bravely forward. Wherever they went, they were practically sweeping everything away in their path. The closer they got to the Thunder Crown Wolf, the more the pressure coming from the wolf tide increased. Gu Bo was calm and composed. Suddenly he stretched out his right palm, and slashed in front of him. Swoosh! A golden-colored moonblade, as big as a grown adult, formed in a split second and flew out towards the front. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. After flying out for a few meters, this moon disk suddenly went through a change, and from one blade it turned into three. 3 moonblades flew alongside each other, bringing about the sound of the wind whistling as it plowed open 3 bloody paths like knives cutting meat apart. Many wolves fell without exception. Broken limbs flew into the air, and blood-curdling cries sounded non-stop. A frenzied lightning wolf roared and started rushing over fiercely towards the Gu masters from the right side. Let me! A clan elder suddenly went from a thin and dry appearance, turning into a huge fat man in one breath. With a bang, he used his round belly and sent the frenzied lightning wolf flying away. The frenzied lightning wolf had come in a torrential rush, and the greater the strength of collision the stronger the bounce back was. It was thrown across high into the air, cutting an arc and then finally falling down hundreds of meters away. The other elders were displaying all sorts of abilities. There were some with long hair like needles, continuously shooting out and sweeping away lightning wolves. Some of them had their bodies covered in light armor, forcefully bearing through the wolves tearing and biting. The Thunder Crown Wolf went from a half-sitting state, and slowly got onto its feet. It firmly stared at the Gu masters rushing towards itself, and the wolf's dark eyes flashed with warning. It opened its mouth and let out a low roar, revealing its sharp and jagged wolf fangs. Each of the frenzied lightning wolves and bold lightning wolves that heard its roar immediately got up and rushed towards the Gu masters. The Gu masters were instantly slowed in their charge, receiving great obstruction. Clan leader. I'll leave it to all of you, clan elders. You have to win. Numerous eyes flashed and gathered on them. Unknown number of rallying cries and shouts sounded from the depths of the clansmen's hearts. This was the most crucial battle. If they lose the battle, the entire clan would face the danger of being wiped out. If victory was assured, then they would have held against the hardest moment of the wolf tide. This was the battle that would decide the life and death of the Gu clan. None of the elders backed off. They pushed forward, while drenched in blood. Even though they did not lose any numbers, none of them were spared from injury. They eliminated all the obstacles around them, until they faced the Thunder Crown Wolf, then charged towards it. Therapy Light Gu. Suddenly a middle-aged female clan elder stretched out both her hands, and a pure white, warm light bubbled forth. The light first flowed onto the clan leader's body, and then reflected onto each of the other clan elders. This was a rank 3 healing Gu with area of effect properties, and it could instantly cause the wounds on Gu masters to stop bleeding. Light wounds would be recovered completely, while heavy wounds would be healed by half. Continue fighting. Gu Bo roared loudly. 5 clan elders swiped their arms as they heard the signal, and sent a moonblade flying towards the sky. Suddenly a clan elder roared as all the muscles on his body erupted and expanded 3 times, becoming a white fur giant ape. It jumped in front of the group, its hands joined together. Gu Bo stepped onto its 2 hands, and with a low roar, the ape kicked from the ground and stretched out its waist, using all the strength in its body to toss Gu Bo into the sky. Moon Invite Gu. Gu Bo spread out his left hand, it was giving out a hazy, whirlpool-like purple moonlight. The moonblades that the clan elders had shot towards the sky were all absorbed and annexed by this purple moonlight. Slash! Gu Bo's eyes shone as he shouted in a thunderous volume, splitting the air with his palms from up to down. Pew! Winds and thunder resounded as a purple moonblade, larger than a horse carriage, flew towards the Thunder Crown Wolf. This moonblade looked slow but was actually fast, and in a split second, it struck its target. The Thunder Crown Wolf howled, and at the last moment, a thunder light armor appeared on its body. Bam! In the next moment, an intense explosion occurred as the sky was engulfed in eerie blue lightning pitting against the purple alluring moonlight. Numerous people squinted as the shockwaves spread from the impact, sending the ordinary lightning wolves in the vicinity flying. When the intense light dissipated, the Gu masters were already engaging in battle with the Thunder Crown Wolf. The clan elders were all extremely experienced and well coordinated with each other. An aged old master with floating white hair shot out needles from it endlessly like rain. On another side, a female Gu master blew out flames from her nostrils like lingering snakes, and she spouted a wave of orange flame and assaulted two sides at the same time. There were another 3 Gu masters, one turned into a white ape, while another turned his muscles into steel from head to toe as they both tried to curb the Thunder Crown Wolf. The other Gu master tossed out unending numbers of puppet Gu, pouring his primeval essence and turning them into vine-armored grass soldiers or wooden servants with red spears, using them as fodder to attract the incoming assault. Healing Gu masters stood at the outer circle, using therapy light Gu from time to time. Beside them were defensive Gu masters, giving them care and protection. The Thunder Crown Wolf had been beaten badly. Its right front limb had a huge wound, the blood flowing non-stop. This was the outcome from the attack of the purple moonblade a moment ago. It roared continuously as it had fallen into the Gu master's well-planned trap. Even if it had the spirits to fight back, there was not much it could do. The Gu masters weaved and jumped around it like fleas on a cat or dog. They continued to move around and pulled space as they worked with completely chemistry. But the good situation did not last, for the Thunder Crown Wolf slowly began to adapt, while the wound on its body did not stop healing. It was clear that it had a healing Gu on its body. This was very bad news. The healing Gu's existence would mean that this is a war of attrition. Wild Gu could just use the natural essence straight from the air, while Gu masters could only use primeval essence from their own apertures. After the battle reached 15 minutes later, the Thunder Crown Wolf suddenly howled towards the sky, and a torrent of lightning flashes enveloped its whole body, while its speed sharply increased onefold. The elder who had turned into a white ape could not dodge in time. Unable to react to this change, he was bitten by the Thunder Crown Wolf and his skull was torn into two by the wolf's tugging. The Thunder Crown Wolf had torn a line in the battlefront, and with continuous swipes of its tail, purplish-blue electric currents rushed forth. The Gu masters could only back away non-stop. In this dangerous moment, the clan leader Gu stood out. He was a rank 4 expert with powerful attacks and superior defense, like the center pillar of the group, using all his strength to salvage the situation. Mountain rocks broke and shadows dissipated as group battles enlarged. The aftermath ravaged the battlefield, and not a single lightning wolf dared to enter battle. The situation of the battlefield only became more desperate. The Thunder Crown Wolf's injuries became heavier and worse, the bleeding unable to stop, and bones could be seen in the deeper wounds. At the same time, the Gu masters also suffered heavy losses. So far they had already lost 6 clan elders. If not for the village's clan elders' immediate and urgent dispatch, coming in to aid the fight, the battle might have long collapsed. Everyone, stand strong, holding is the key to victory. Gu killed until his eyes were red, and his voice was hoarse as he gave his all to arouse morale. But at this moment, the Thunder Crown Wolf suddenly went berserk, and its body was enshrouded in a layer of bright red light. Rank 4 Berserk Gu. The Thunder Crown Wolf's strength, speed, agility and other attributes suddenly rose to twice the original base. Boom! There was a loud noise as it swiped its right claw, turning a clan elder into complete meat mush. With a flick of its tail, the sound of wind erupted and an electrical net flew out, trapping a field of grass and wooden puppets, then burning it all into charcoal. "I can't keep up, my puppets are already used up," the elder cried out, frightened. With the situation rapidly changing for the worse, the terror of the myriad beast king was fully unleashed, leaving everyone in despair. Gyubo's eyebrows were locked tight, and it seemed like he was about to break his teeth from gritting, when he suddenly yelled, "Trap it, use the iron chain snake." As the clan elders heard this, they were awed in their hearts. Early during the start of the wolf tide, they had already displayed countless of battle tactics. This was a method that must only be used when there was no other choice. "Wind snare Gu!" An elder cried out, and from his nostrils came a green breeze, wrapping around the thunder crown wolf's claws. "Swamp Gu!" Another elder roared and crouched down, bringing his two hands down and slamming on the ground. Instantly, the earth below the thunder crown wolf turned into mud. With these simultaneous attacks, the Thunder Crown Wolf's movements were slowed at that moment. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the other elders all stretched out their hands, and from their sleeves and pants, waves of black shadows shot out. The black shadow was about the size of a fist, and each length was around 2 meters long. On close inspection, one would see that each black shadow was a snake Gu. This snake was shaped like an iron chain, its whole body a gloomy black. Coils of metal rings were strung and connected together, and only the snake head looked normal. As it flew out, the snakes wriggled on the ground, quickly climbing onto the Thunder Crown Wolf's body. Their heads and tails then connected and mutually fit together, forming a metal net in the blink of an eye, taking root from the ground and trapping the Thunder Crown Wolf on the spot. But this situation was only temporary, for as the Thunder Crown Wolf struggled continuously, one by one, the iron chains would break off. In just 5 to 6 minutes, these metallic snakes would completely disintegrate away, no longer trapping the Thunder Crown Wolf. "Qi Guang, Soa Ping, stay here and stop the wolf pack from attacking the metal chains. The rest of you, fall back to the village with me," Gyubo shouted. He actually had chosen to retreat. However, the other clan elders did not show any surprised expressions. They had already known the clan leader's intention. They hurried back to the village, and immediately a clan elder came up towards them and said, "Lord Clan Leader, everything has been prepared." Gyubo nodded, commanding the group to go to the clan pavilion. In the plaza before the clan pavilion, there was already up to 100 Gu masters seated on the ground. These Gu masters were mainly those who were seriously hurt and could not enter battle in a short period of time. Each of their faces carried a calm expression of facing death without fear. Meanwhile, for those who still had the ability to battle, they were fighting away on the front lines. With the battle reaching this moment, the clan had already given its all. In this dire situation, even the mortals had been mobilized. Using each and every single human life to be turned as a meat wall, obstructing the wolf tide for the time being, this gave the Gu masters some time to recuperate and regroup. Gyubo and the clan elders went into the ancestral halls of the clan pavilion. Under the memorial tablets of their ancestors, they all sank to their knees on the floor. "To the great ancestor above me, we descendants are greatly ashamed. The wolf tide is turbulent, and the village has fallen into the situation of life and death. We beseech our great ancestor to come and give us a hand." When Gyubo finished speaking in a low voice, the ancestral hall fell into deep silence. Drip drop. A few of the clan elders' blood seeped out from their hastily bandaged wounds, dripping onto the floor. Gyubo and the rest of the clan elders held their breaths, not even daring to pant or breathe loudly. Back in the day, when the first-generation clan leader felt his death approaching, he set out to leave the village. Before his departure, he left a testament behind. It spoke that if the clan would ever fall into the danger of perishing, they could pray before his memorial tablet. At that moment, Gu worms would descend from the sky and help the village through the difficult situation. Throughout history, the Guyu clan had suffered through major crises a few times, and they had dealt with the calamity this way. This was the Guyu clan's last trump card. Chapter 165, Blood Guillotine. In the ancestral hall, it was deadly silent. The clan elder and clan leader lowered their heads like a big rock was weighing on their heart. After a Gu master dies, the Gu worms they leave behind will still have the persons will remaining. They cannot be considered wild Gu worms, and have had lost their ability to use the natural essence in the air. These Gu worms can be considered an extension of life of that particular Gu master. Everyone's heart was uneasy. The first generation clan head had passed on for at least 1,000 years, so were the methods that he had left behind still effective? No one knew. After all, since the last crisis, it had already been 200 years. Why did they retreat? On the slope, Fang Yuan saw this scene and grew suspicious. In his previous life, his cultivation was too low, thus he could not learn about the clan's secrets. But soon his body shook, discovering that a group of flying worms had descended from the sky. This is. Fang Yuan's eyes squinted as cold light shone. There were up to 100 Gu worms flying around in a cluster, forming a red cloud, descending and landing on the village square. Buzz buzz buzz. The noises emitted by the insect group entered the ancestral hall, and the clan elders raised their heads, showing a frantically overjoyed expression. Thank you, great ancestor, for the protection. Guyu Bo's heart felt at ease as he paid his respects before getting up. Go and see, the clan leader sighed. On his face, there was happiness, solemnness and grief, a complicated expression. Leaving the ancestral hall and standing on the building stairway, everyone could see that on the village square, there was a red tornado rampaging. These Gu worms were only around the size of a fingertip. They were shaped like locusts, with a scary face and was red all over. They entered the bodies of the Gu masters sitting on the square, extracting their blood and primeval essence. In a few breaths' time, one insect multiplied into more worms. Thus, the Gu increased greatly in numbers as time went by. There were constantly new Gu worms being produced, flying into the Gu master's skin and flying out, and then digging in again. In the village square, miserable cries and cold groans sounded, but not one Gu master fled. Before they came, they were already informed by the clan elders. For the clan, they willingly tribute their bodies to feed the Gu, using their own sacrifices to bring about the survival of the clan. These are all good lads of our clan. Guyu Bo seeing this muttered in a low voice, as the hand holding onto the railing shivered slightly. The other elders showed a painful expression, but did not say anything. This situation was exactly as recorded in the clan memorials. The first generation ancestor had left behind these Gu worms, and they required Gu masters' lives to feed. Only then are they satisfied and will help the clan to defend against external enemies. After these flying Gu were full and satisfied, they flew up again with an even greater presence. In the blink of an eye, they had grown in number over tens of times. What was left on the square were piles of white bones as the Gu flew out like a tornado, rampaging through the wolf packs outside the village. The blood guillotine indeed. Fang Yuan, who was standing on the slope, saw everything and thought in his heart. This blood guillotine is a rank 5 Gu. Its usability and feeding are fused into one. It was a very strange Gu. They specialized in consuming a Gu master's life-bound origin blood, and after feasting, they would start to multiply, from 1 to 2, 2 to 4. If they were hungry and couldn't find food, they would start to eat each other, reducing the size of their group to sustain the expenditure they needed in moving around. At its peak the blood guillotine could engulf the skies and lands, destroying villages in their path, and were more fearsome than many rank 6 Gu worms. When it was weak at only 1 or 2 in number, they would barely have any power and is worse than a rank 3 Gu. Especially when this blood guillotine Gu advances into the highly acclaimed rank 6 demonic Gu, blood deity. Among the top 10 great demonic Gu in the world, it ranks 7th. In his previous life, when Fang Yuan created the Blood-Wing demonic sect, he first wanted to refine the blood deity instead of the spring-autumn cicada. However, because of circumstances and many other reasons, he could only reduce his expectations and refine the spring-autumn cicada. This group of blood guillotines numbered up to tens of thousands. Like a tornado sweeping the battlefield, everywhere they went, wolf packs howled and wailed. They flew left and right, entering the lightning wolves' bodies, and in a few breaths' time, the lightning wolves' blood would be completely absorbed. But this beast blood could not allow the blood guillotine to multiply. Only a Gu Master's origin blood that contains primeval essence could achieve this effect. One after another, lightning wolves were reduced to dry corpses, lying on the ground and losing their lives. Only the bold lightning wolves and frenzy lightning wolves' lightning currents could resist this blood guillotine. However, they could only electrocute a small number of flying insects, before an overwhelming number of blood guillotines would rush up and suck them into dry corpses. Howl! The steel web broke completely as the Thunder Crown Wolf regained its freedom, howling in anger. The blood guillotine detected it and it gathered quickly, forming a large red cloud and engulfing the Thunder Crown Wolf completely. The Thunder Crown Wolf's tail swung around as blue lightning currents shot out and turned hundreds and thousands of blood guillotines to crisps. The popping sound was just like firecrackers going off. A gust of wind blew, bringing along the horrible burnt smell of the roasted blood guillotines. The blood guillotine was indeed a rank 5 Gu, but without a user, it could only attack head-on. The Thunder Crown Wolf had several rank 4 Gu residing in it, and some had a wide area attack method, countering this blood guillotine. The flying insects moved like a red cloud as the Thunder Crown Wolf's hill-like body howled and struggled, creating a havoc. At this moment, the Thunder Crown Wolf's large body became its weakness as the fingertip-sized blood guillotine took advantage of it. The battle was intense. As large numbers of blood guillotines fell on the ground, the Thunder Crown Wolf's armor was broken through, and some blood guillotines drilled their way in and started to suck blood wantonly. Without any other choice, the Thunder Crown Wolf could only spray lightning plasma on its own body, electrocuting these blood guillotines. But this way, its surface muscles were all fried, emitting a fragrant cooked meat smell. The wolf tide's attack on the village had already stopped. Under the Thunder Crown Wolf's command, numerous lightning wolves attacked the insect group instead. The Gu Masters could be said to have escaped death, and many held their breaths as they watched this intense and tragic battle nervously. The insect group was like a death plague. Numerous lightning wolves would rush in and drop dead soon after. However, the lightning wolves' sacrifice also caused the insect group to face high expenditure. The blood guillotine dropped in numbers. The original dense cloud had turned into a thin fog, and soon it was reduced to a small tornado still flying in the air. The Thunder Crown Wolf struggled and escaped, its mouth howling as it ran with all its speed. The blood in its body was almost half gone. Now its body felt soft and tired, while its running speed was not even 10% of the usual speed, and the lightning currents flowing on its body also became extremely scattered. As the leader of the wolf packs, the escape of the Thunder Crown Wolf caused the other lightning wolves' fighting spirit to diminish, and they also escaped all over the place. We finally did it. The Gu Masters, seeing this, became blank as some just collapsed on the ground, unwilling to get up. I'm actually still alive. Many Gu masters' expression was complicated, some were filled with happiness while also in grief. Through the wolf tide, many clansmen were sacrificed. Buzz buzz buzz. The scattered blood guillotine group flew high into the sky, flying one huge round around the Guyu village before vanishing into the clouds. Seeing this, Fang Yuan's eyes shone with a complex thought. The defeat of the Thunder Crown Wolf meant the village was now safe. In fact, most of the wolf packs were dead or injured, so they no longer had such a huge number. This wolf tide could be said to have been over. However, wolf packs bear grudges, and as long as this myriad beast king is not dead, during the next wolf tide it would attack once again. After many years of recuperating, it would become even shrewder and stronger. In the current situation, it was at its weakest. Killing it now and getting the Gu worms on its body can help replenish some of the clan's losses. Yao Zhong, Gu Yan, you two stay behind and take care of the situation. Other clan elders, follow me and assault the Thunder Crown Wolf. Guyu Bo hurriedly ordered, before leading the remaining 7 elders capable of fighting out of the village and towards the direction that the Thunder Crown Wolf escaped in. Fang Yuan's gaze shone, weighing in his heart, although the clan's power is greatly reduced, the current situation is not in a mess. Moreover, this blood guillotine has a suspicious origin, I better follow the clan leader and check out the situation. Saying so, he went into stealth mode and went down the slope. The Stealth Scales Gu and the Thunderwings Gu cannot be used concurrently. Thunderwings Gu was a rank 3 Gu, and once activated it forms a pair of lightning wings that cannot be hidden by the rank 2 Stealth Scales Gu. Against the rank 3 clan elders, the Stealth Scales Gu's hiding ability was not effective. Fang Yuan could only follow their tracks and keep a distance between them, not daring to get close. When the Thunder Crown Wolf attacked, he was still in the rock crack secret cave and did not participate in the battle. If he appeared now, it would attract the rage of the clan head and clan elder, and if they questioned him, he would have not been able to explain himself. The injuries of the Thunder Crown Wolf were very severe, so it could not move fast. After half an hour, Fang Yuan could hear that there was the sound of fighting and scolding ahead of him. He went there in stealth, getting onto a mountain rock, observing the Gu masters fight. The Thunder Crown Wolf lay on the ground with many new injuries on its body. Blood was flowing non-stop as it was gasping for breath. Its dim eyes showed that it was very near death. Old geezer Bai, you and your guys sure have the face, coming here to take advantage of the situation. He, Guyu Bo, that's not the right thing to say. This Thunder Crown Wolf was obviously stopped by us, get a clue and fuck off. Guyu Bo and the Bai clan leader were at a standstill, wary against each other. The wolf den had 3 Thunder Crown Wolves, all myriad beast kings, each having their packs of tens of thousand lightning wolves. But they did not glue together, and neither could they suppress one another. The wolf pack's movements relied on working together. The 3 Thunder Crown Wolves had intelligence, each targeting the 3 large beast groups to hunt. In their eyes, humans were also wild beasts, and even prey. In their understanding, the wolf tide was a massive hunting session. On Qingmao Mountain, the Xiong, Guyu, and Bai clan were able to live for hundreds of years. Naturally, they all had their trump cards. Xiong clan was the weakest, still resisting the wolf tide with difficulty even now. The Bai clan had risen these years, and their cumulative strength had exceeded the Guyu clan. After killing a Thunder Crown Wolf and pushing back the wolf tide, the Bai clan leader brought his clan elders to Guyu village, trying to find some opportunities. To think that there really was such a chance. Thus they blocked the Thunder Crown Wolf in this valley. The Thunder Crown Wolf's body had many Gu worms, and some were even rank 4. The Thunder Crown Wolf's blood, bone, eye and fur were all precious refinement material. The Guyu clan naturally would not let go of them, and under intense anger, they attacked. He, Fang Yuan, you really came. I've waited for so long. On the mountain wall, a cold laughter was heard. Fang Yuan raised his head, only to see a white-clothed young man descending from the sky as an ice blade slashed towards his face with resolution. Chapter 166, Second Battle Versus by Ning Bing. His hair snowy white and his orbs blue, a one-armed figure in white. Who else could it be but by Ning Bing? Before the ice blade touched his body, Fang Yuan could feel a cold eerie feeling assaulting him from behind like a comet striking the earth, full of cold killing intent. Fang Yuan's irises were black in contrast, unmoving in danger, leaping backwards and injecting primeval essence into the sky canopy Gu, creating a white armor to protect himself. Bam! The ice blade struck the ground heavily, and at that instant a bunch of white icicles grew from the ground, erupting upwards. Swoosh! The sharp icicles stabbed upwards at the direction Fang Yuan was retreating towards, creating an icy path. Fang Yuan easily somersaulted and avoided them. The mountain path was narrow, so he slid down towards the valley along the edges. He, Fang Yuan, oh Fang Yuan, why is it that every time I see you, I feel that intense urge to kill you? Tell me. Bai Ning Bing excitedly shivered as he laughed maniacally. His laughter attracted the gaze of the other Gu masters in the valley. Seeing Bai Ning Bing and Fang Yuan, their expressions were different. Lord Bai Ning Bing, let me assist you. A Bai clan Gu master who originally stood at the side shouted and struck towards Fang Yuan. Clan leader, it is our clan's Fang Yuan. Guyu clan's Gu masters shouted. I know. Clan leader Guyu Bo's expression was uncertain, and he dodged the Bai clan leader's attack as he decided, shouting, get the materials into our possession first. Fang Yuan had mysteriously vanished before the wolf tide arrived, causing the Guyu higher-ups to feel highly doubtful of him. In addition, the intense pressure from the Bai clan Gu masters resulted in no one going to reinforce Fang Yuan. Bai Ning Bing saw help arrive and flew into a rage, shouting at the person, "Scram, this is my battle, don't interfere." Lord Bai Ning Bing, you lost an arm and have reduced battle potential. You are the hope of our Bai clan, you cannot be lost. Let me sweep this obstacle for you. The Bai clan Gu master shouted as he leapt, charging towards Fang Yuan. He activated his Gu worm, both hands glowing with an orange-yellow light. Bam! He lightly patted the ground, and the light entered the earth. Instantly, a lump grew from the earth. The mud lump advanced towards Fang Yuan as it got bigger. Suddenly the mud lump exploded, revealing a yellow mud arm. This arm was humongous, as tall as an adult as it grabbed towards Fang Yuan. Its power and presence caused others to feel suffocated. Fang Yuan snorted in disdain. Seeing this arm grab at him and about to succeed, a dark golden light suddenly shot out from his aperture, turning into a shiny ribbon of light, wrapping around Fang Yuan's body. The big arm reached his body but was twisted by this dark golden light, breaking and collapsing. Oh! What Gu worm is this? Bai Ning Bing showed shock on his face. The dark golden light dispersed, revealing the true form of the Gu. It was over a meter long, as wide as 2 fists. Its dark golden exoskeleton displayed dominance as its sharp razor blades at the side of its body shone with cold light. Chainsaw Golden Centipede. Come, Fang Yuan shouted, extending his right arm, his fist clenched. The chainsaw golden centipede's numerous segments climbed up his body nimbly, its body twisting and turning like a snake, coiling around his right arm. Its mouth opened and swallowed Fang Yuan's right fist in one mouth, all the way until half his forearm was swallowed. Fang Yuan's arm swung, and the meter-long golden centipede moved its tail. In the air, it drew an arc, emitting a crisp sound. At this moment, the golden centipede shrunk its body to the max, its near 2-meter length shrinking to 1.5 meters. At the same time its feet shrunk into the exoskeleton, leaving behind only 2 rows of razor blades. At one glance, Fang Yuan looked like he was holding a dark golden silver-bladed, giant hiltless sword. The reinforcement Gu master was shocked, he had never thought that the chainsaw golden centipede could be used like this. The Gu masters raising Gu, refining Gu, using Gu, all three required deep research. Fang Yuan's method was innovative and unheard of, using his imagination to the limit. But actually, this method was not invented by Fang Yuan. 300 years later, a new demonic faction talent, the Chainsaw Mad Demon, would use the rank 4 Chainsaw Killer Centipede, one of the advancement paths of the rank 3 Chainsaw Golden Centipede. But in this life, Fang Yuan using it at this point is really unprecedented. I shall let you guys have a taste, Fang Yuan smirked, using the primeval essence in his aperture and injecting them into the Chainsaw Golden Centipede's body. Buzz buzz buzz. The Chainsaw Golden Centipede's 2 rows of razor blades started to move violently, emitting a wild sound, causing others' heart to shiver upon hearing. Thunderwings Gu. Fang Yuan's eyes shone with determination as a pair of eerie blue thunderwings formed on his back with a crisp sound. Whoosh! The thunderwings flapped, causing Fang Yuan to shoot out like lightning. Fast! 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 The speed was so fast that the Bai-Clan Gu master's iris shrunk as he felt a chill. The smell of death was so close, and he shrieked as he used his strongest Gu, a thick yellow light appeared on his body. The yellow light was like armor, except that before it fully materialized, Fang Yuan had already gotten close. His black hair danced in the wind, his eyes like lightning, looking like a demonic god that emerged from nightmares, killing his way into the mortal realm. His movements were violent, and he completely exerted his muscles. As they tightened up, he used the strength of 2 boars to their limit. The golden centipede-like sword waved like a golden shadow in the air. The razors rotated violently, slashing towards the Bai-Clan Gu master's waist. Crack! The yellow light armor broke under the slaughter of the chainsaw, it was never fully formed in the first place. At this moment, it scattered instantly. The razors entered the meat as if it was cutting butter, and as Fang Yuan flicked his wrist, the chopped-up meat flew all over the place along with the blood. The Gu master's spine smashed and his intestines were grinded to a pulp. The Bai-Clan Gu master's upper half of the body flew into the air, while his lower half remained on the spot. Plop! He stared with wide-opened eyes, staring in fright at his lower half, dying in extreme fear and shock. This commotion caused the fighting among the 2 clans to stop temporarily. They all looked towards Fang Yuan, sending shocked, angered gazes. This Bai-Clan Gu master was also a rank 3 elder, and was slightly famous. But under Fang Yuan's aggressive, dominant attack, he was instantly killed. Fang Yuan's body was still blood-bathed, with the Bai-Clan Gu master's flesh still sticking to his clothes. The chainsaw golden centipede's 2 edges were still rotating violently, and with such ferocity, it caused everyone to look away. What a great Gu worm! Bai Ningbing shouted, his eyes showing insanity and excitement. Fang Yuan, you did not let me down indeed. Come battle! He shouted, his passion blazing like flames, striking towards Fang Yuan. Noisy fucker! Fang Yuan's expression was cold as ice, turning around to counterattack. Bam! The chainsaw golden centipede and the ice blade collided. With a cracking sound, the razors cut into the ice blade and caused it to shatter into pieces. In the next moment, the chainsaw golden centipede broke through the ice blade and swept across Bai Ningbing's face. Bai Ningbing's expression changed as he resolutely let go of the ice blade and retreated backwards, almost 2 meters of distance away. The chainsaw golden centipede when shrunk was only 1.5 m. Adding on Fang Yuan's right arm, there was still a little distance before it could reach Bai Ningbing. But Fang Yuan willed, and the chainsaw golden centipede suddenly extended itself. This? Bai Ningbing was dumbstruck and did not anticipate this turn of events. He was hit on the chest by the centipede's tail. Even with his ice muscles protecting his body, there was still a large cut on his body. At that instant, he felt a strong force assault him, and he was unavoidably sent flying, landing on a huge rock behind him. Blood splattered on the rock's surface, but his ice muscles soon stopped the bleeding. Bai Ningbing coughed intensely and was about to get up, but suddenly he heard a thunderous sound. The sound was right beside his ear, and an unprecedented sense of danger entered his heart. Bai Ningbing's iris shrunk as he did not even raise his head, but frantically rolled away. Bam! In the next moment, the chainsaw golden centipede descended from the sky. With its imposing aura, it struck the ground that he was at a moment ago. The razors rotated violently, and the huge rock broke into pieces. If this hit landed on my body, I'm afraid. Bai Ningbing's heart chilled, and a sense of anger stemming from his indignant nature rose. Ever since his battle with Gu Yuqing, he had stopped suppressing his cultivation, and let it rise naturally. Although he lost a limb, he had his complete cultivation, but was still suppressed by this rank 3 initial stage Fang Yuan. Indignant. Humiliation. Rage. Kill. He growled, his wrist turning and injecting primeval essence into the ice blade Gu, forming a brand new ice blade. Seeing Bai Ningbing come closer, Fang Yuan laughed coldly and attacked with all he had. He had obtained the black and white boar Gu, thus his strength was greater than Bai Ningbing. At this point when waving the chainsaw golden centipede, it was as light as a tree branch. Cut, slash, hack, twist, turn, the chainsaw golden centipede rotated violently, moving as agile as a bee in Fang Yuan's hand. At times it appeared heavy like an elephant, sometimes ferocious as a tiger, and sometimes flexible like a snake. The most crucial point was, the golden centipede followed Fang Yuan's will, extending and shrinking at times, sometimes longer and sometimes shorter, sometimes straight sometimes curly. That made it hard for Bai Ningbing to adapt, and he could barely defend himself. He cried and screamed as he retreated gradually, his body filled with injuries. His white battle robe had turned into a beggar's attire. Fang Yuan moved like a black wind, his expression cool as he displayed an extremely profound sword technique, saber art, axe and rod skills. He fused all these skills into one, turning the chainsaw golden centipede into a lethal weapon. A Gu depends on who the user is. Good on you, Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing shouted after numerous ice blades broke. He finally realized that he could not go head-on against Fang Yuan. His body was bathed in blood and the ice muscle's defense was almost broken, but this let out his immense battle passion. If close range won't do, then long range it is. Blue Bird Ice Coffin Gu. Bai Ningbing pulled some distance and spit out several times. Several flying birds flapped their wings and flew towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not fluster. With an unchanging expression, his left arm moved and the blood-colored moonblade stopped these ice birds in their tracks, causing them to explode in midair. People were normally proficient in using moonblades on only one arm, but Fang Yuan had such a rich battle experience, and even his left arm could completely shoot out moonblades without any deviation. Bai Ningbing, seeing that did not work, used the icicle Gu. Icicles flew and mixed in with the blue birds to form a barrage attack. Fang Yuan's long-range attack was solely Moonblade, thus he only chose to block the most dangerous ice birds. Against the icicles, he dodged some while tanking the others with his Sky Canopy Gu. Bai Ningbing finally had a bit of an upper hand and wanted to increase his advantage, but Fang Yuan suddenly laughed coldly and shrugged his right hand, causing the chainsaw golden centipede to detach and burrow its way into the ground. This hidden threat was too much. Bai Ningbing was dumbfounded at this, scolding loudly as he quickly took steps back. Chapter 167, a fourth one. You forced my hand. Bai Ningbing gritted his teeth, forming an ice blade. At the same time, he activated his Swirl Gu and Fierce Wind Gu. The white ice blade storm appeared once again. At first it was just a small gust, but very quickly, the size expanded and the icy winds roared as the blizzard spread. The floor was slowly covered in hard ice, preventing the chainsaw golden centipede from emerging and attacking. This ice blade storm is a unique move of Bai Ningbing's. Evidently it showed the battle talent of the Northern Dark Ice Soul physique. This was formed by the Ice Blade Gu, Swirl Gu and Fierce Wind Gu. When used together, it created something that could attack and defend. Without two or more defense Gu working together, one cannot resist it. The fierce winds roared and the ice blades froze all in its path. The white storm assaulted like a huge beast awakening, opening its mouth and devouring Fang Yuan. These three Gu together form a ferocious offensive technique that can freeze all life. Even with the Sky Canopy Gu's defense, Fang Yuan would probably be unable to block it. The storm approached, but Fang Yuan showed a look of disdain. The thunder wings behind him instantly flapped, pulling a large distance away from this ice blade storm. Times were different now. If this was the past, his movement speed would be lower than this storm, but now the storm could no longer catch up to him. Fang Yuan's eyes shone with brilliance as he turned his direction in mid-air, and flew towards the valley. The ice blade storm chased him relentlessly. Don't come here. Fuck off. Whether it was the Bai Clan Gu Masters, or Guyu Clan, both were scolding and shouting. Fang Yuan laughed coldly, continuing his charge. The ice blade storm had an imposing aura as it continued to chase Fang Yuan while Bai Ningbing's laughter was heard from within. Don't think of getting any further. A Bai Clan Gu master blocked Fang Yuan's path. Fang Yuan's hand hooked, and from the ground a thick and long golden line jumped out and landed on his right arm, like a large sword. Buzz buzz buzz. The rampaging sound from the razors caused the Bai Clan Gu master's eyelids to shiver. Fang Yuan held the chainsaw golden centipede in his right hand as blood light shone in his left. He was using the blood moon Gu but not shooting it. His body was covered in a white-colored armor, and thunder wings sparked behind his back. His black hair flew in the wind, and behind him there was a mountain-sized white storm. His presence was overwhelming with his eyes emitting sharp killing intent, as if he was charging through the desert, a general with 7 victories under his belt. Stomping all his enemies into minced meat, and chopping any opponents into broken bones. Ah! The Bai Clan Gu master felt an impossible pressure as veins popped on his forehead, and he suddenly shouted loudly, edging himself on. But as he shouted, seeing Fang Yuan was rushing towards himself without pause, he suddenly shut up and ran away. He was scared. The fear in his heart eroded his fighting spirit. Fang Yuan did not care about him, instead rushing over towards the Thunder Crown Wolf who was on the verge of dying. Winds blew as his charging was fearsome, and everywhere he went, Gu masters avoided. The Thunder Crown Wolf forced itself to focus, turning its head towards Fang Yuan. Lightning gathered on its teeth, the myriad beast king's pride refused to let itself die so easily. Even through death will it retaliate. Fang Yuan was seemingly about to collide onto the Thunder Crown Wolf like a meteor hitting Earth, but at the last second he suddenly jerked his leg and rushed up into the sky, flying out of the valley at a steep angle. He had just flown out of the valley when an intense explosion occurred behind him. The Thunder Crown Wolf's cries fused with the sound of the Ice Blade Storm. A move like the Ice Blade Storm could be said to be Bai Ningbing's masterpiece, but it had weaknesses too. It could not be easily displayed or stopped. Of course, this storm knocking into the Thunder Crown Wolf was also due to Bai Ningbing's personality. The Thunder Crown Wolf was heavily suppressed by the White Storm. It was already going to die, but now it could resist no further. Its armor was cut into pieces and blood and flesh flew all over the place, revealing its white skeleton, which was quickly minced into bone matter. Damn it! Seeing this, the Guyu clan's side all swore. The Bai clan Gu masters also showed a pained expression. With Bai Ningbing doing this, after the Thunder Crown Wolf dies there would no longer be any valuable loot left on its body. But Bai Ningbing did not mind it. Instead he rotated even faster, enjoying the feeling of devastating a myriad beast king. Gu worms turned into rays of light one after another, flying out of the Thunder Crown Wolf's body. These wild Gu worms had all resided in the Thunder Crown Wolf's body, using each other to work together and survive. Now that the Thunder Crown Wolf was dying, they were like crewmen on a ship, abandoning the sinking ship and escaping for their lives. Catch them! Quick, stop these Gu! The two clans shouted at once. The situation went into chaos again as clan elders attacked each other in attempt to hinder the other. The two clan leaders could not split themselves, thus finally, only 2 or 3 clan elders with movement-type Gu managed to fly out of the valley. The wild Gu worms ran everywhere and Fang Yuan focused and observed, trying to discern them. What a pity my recon Gu is earth communication ear grass, it cannot increase my vision. There is definitely a healing type Gu on this Thunder Crown Wolf, but whether I can catch it or not, it's up to fate. This was betting purely on luck, but Fang Yuan had no choice. Recon-type Gu worm, there were all sorts of them, but right now he only had the earth communication ear grass. His thunder wings spread and he rushed towards the closest Gu worm. This Gu's body was covered in a blue light, trying to fly far away. Fang Yuan rushed up, opening his hand and grabbing it. Whoosh! Its body emitted an intense electric current and assaulted Fang Yuan. Thunder wings are formed by lightning, it has speed but is not flexible. Fang Yuan groaned as he used the sky canopy Gu to endure this attack. He could forcefully grab this Gu, but he wisely chose to give up. The ability of this Gu was already exposed, it was able to use electric currents to attack enemies, so this was obviously an attack-type Gu, but Fang Yuan wanted a healing Gu instead. Fang Yuan gave up on it and approached another Gu worm. When he got close, he saw this Gu's appearance, a body that seemed to be made of light blue glass, flying in the air with a semicircle shell that had turtle shell markings. Thunder Shield Gu. This was a defensive Gu, able to form a semicircle lightning shield. Fang Yuan gave up once again, looking around and finding his third target. But at this time, a white shadow came from the valley, holding an ice blade and shouting Fang Yuan's name. Fang Yuan sighed, knowing that Lady Luck was not on his side. He could only take the best alternative, reaching and grabbing towards the Thunder Shield Gu right next to him. Thunder Shield Gu created a lightning shield, its eerie blue lightning sparking as it tried to resist Fang Yuan's hand. Fang Yuan sneered, releasing the spring-autumn cicada's aura. Suddenly the Thunder Shield Gu became tame like it died, dispersing its shield and falling towards the forest. Fang Yuan waved and grabbed it in his hand, releasing his primeval essence and instantly refining it. Stealth Scales Gu. Ripples formed all over his body as he vanished on the spot. Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing shouted, as his eyes shone with lightning. This is the rank 3 Lightning Eye Gu, using the power of lightning to break through stealth. But it did not have see-through vision. Fang Yuan noticed this, and although he was stealthed, he could also use the forest to conceal himself. Bai Ningbing's gaze swept through the environment and angrily growled as he had no findings. Fang Yuan found a hidden spot, instantly sitting down and activating the Tusita flower, making it spit out primeval stones. Although he was rank 3, his aperture only had 42% primeval essence storage, and though he had the upper hand during the previous battle, it could not be sustained. Right now, his aperture only had a thin layer of primeval essence left, being around 3%. Gu Masters needed primeval essence to activate Gu Worms. Without primeval essence, Gu Masters' battle strength would drop drastically. In fact, in extreme situations, they were even worse than mortals. The primeval stones continued to shrink, the natural essence injecting into Fang Yuan's body. The primeval sea in his aperture started to rise gradually. Back then, when he was rank 1 or 2 and using the primeval stone to replenish his primeval essence, it was very noticeable. But now that he was rank 3, as the Gu Master's primeval essence quality is greatly improved, more primeval stones are required and a longer time is needed to replenish it. Sounds of Gu Masters battling continued to be heard. After 8 or 9 minutes, Fang Yuan replenished the primeval essence in his aperture back to the limit. He came out of his hiding spot, discovering that 5 clan elders had died. Among them, 3 were from Guyu clan, 2 from Bai clan. Each clan elder was the clan's asset. To think that so many were sacrificed this time. Guyu Bo and the Bai clan leaders' battle was very intense. They were feeling heartache from their respective losses, thus getting more aggressive in their attacks. Other than this, there were 3 fighting groups surrounding the wild Gu worms. Ordinary Gu Masters do not have the spring-autumn cicadas help to capture wild Gu worms, thus it was troublesome. To catch the Gu worm, they cannot deal heavy blows. Instead, they need to gauge the strength they use. 8 to 9 Gu worms had flown out of the Thunder Crown Wolf. It was not certain how many Gu worms they had captured, but 3 still remained right now. The clan elders surrounded these 3 Gu worms, striking as they blocked the worms while facing obstruction from the other party. This caused the scene to be at a stalemate, neither sides able to gain anything. Water Cage Gu, trap it! A Bai clan Gu master shouted, spitting out a water ball. The ball increased in size until it was over 2 meters, covering the Gu worm completely and trapping it inside. Bam! In the next moment, a golden moonblade flew towards the water ball cage and burst it open by force. The Gu worm flew away, escaping with its life. Seeing this Gu worm fly away, the Bai clan Gu master cursed. To think that a Gu worm at his mercy got away just like that. The Guyu clan Gu masters were even more furious. These Gu worms were originally their battle rewards, but now that the Bai clan interfered, they could not gain anything. Bai clan scoundrels, shameless dogs, go to hell. Guyu clan, you guys are finished. Our Bai clan will definitely rise up and stomp you all to the grounds. Both sides were furious, full of hatred and madness. They had battled till their eyes turned red, and only fighting remained in their minds. Fang Yuan saw the Gu worm fly away, thus he had no choice but to look at the other 2 groups. There was still a Gu worm at each of their encirclement. There might be a healing Gu worm, but it was unlikely. Fang Yuan knew that this world did not have things like a wish coming true, but even so he wanted to try. Just when he was about to rush up and attack, he heard a wolf's howl like a military horn, spreading out in rhythm, rising and falling in succession. Soon after, tons of lightning wolves rushed down like tide water. There was no lack to the sound of bold lightning wolves and frenzy lightning wolves, but the one that made everyone's expression change was the mountain-like giant wolf. Thunder Crown Wolf. There's a fourth Thunder Crown Wolf. The clan elders shouted as they could not keep their calm anymore. Chapter 168, Lightning Leakin. Wolf packs were on the move, rushing in like the tide. The situation turned for the worst, and the two clan leaders and their elders' expressions changed. Although both clans managed to resist the wolf tide, it was through a dangerous battle and were Pyrrhic victories. Now that there is a new strong wolf tide, they had no way left to resist it. At once, both clans subconsciously stopped battling. The report said there were 3 Thunder Crown wolves, right? A clan elder screamed in panic. No, this Thunder Crown wolf has lots of injuries, and the size of the wolf pack isn't very large either. Gu forced himself to remain calm and analyzed. Don't tell me, this is the Thunder Crown wolf that attacked the Xiong village. A clan elder slapped his forehead as he shouted. This was very possible, and most likely the truth. The clan elders were feeling solemn as one said, the fact that they appeared here, doesn't that mean the Xiong clan already? That goddamn Xiong village, how can they be so useless? Not even able to resist a wave of wolf tide, someone scolded. But some were optimistic. You see, this Thunder Crown wolf's forelegs are injured, the muscles have all shriveled. They followed the voice and observed, regaining some lost morale. It was true. This Thunder Crown wolf's hind legs were developed, but its forelegs were smaller, with shrunken muscles. This caused it to only use the back legs when running, jumping forward like a kangaroo. Wait, this doesn't seem like a Thunder Crown wolf. My clan leader suddenly thought of something, shivering. Lightning Leakin. Fong Yuan had an answer already. 5 tigers 1 Lamassu, 3 hounds 1 Molossus, 10 wolves 1 Leakin. The Leakin was also a type of wolf, but it was far smarter than a wolf by many times, and was usually the strategist of a wolf pack. The lightning Leakin before them seemed like a Thunder Crown wolf in appearance, thus a Recon Gu master's confusion is very common. But it was a true blue myriad beast king, and had intelligence no less than men. This lightning Leakin, although inferior to an ordinary Thunder Crown wolf in terms of physical strength, had human intelligence and was far more dangerous than a Thunder Crown wolf. With a huge army of lightning wolves to command, it was no wonder that the Xiong clan was exterminated by them. Go! Fong Yuan spread his wings and flew into the sky. These elders here had undergone long battles, and their battle strength was greatly eroded. They could not deal with the wolf packs, and more crucially, their misgivings towards each other made it hard for the two sides to work together. Fong Yuan turned around and left. The myriad beast king was no joke. Even though there was still 2 wild goo worms flying around, he couldn't care less. He had to leave immediately, for any later and he might not have the chance. Knowing one's limits and being able to let go and give up, this is the #1 criteria to roam the world. Retreat, the wolf tide is huge, we cannot do anything to it. Get back to the village and plan our defenses. Even though the clan elders have not realized the lightning Leakin's identity, they all had retreating thoughts. But at this time, the lightning Leakin growled, opening its huge mouth. Its wolf fangs were sharp as a dagger, and in between, a black lump appeared out of nowhere, forming into a black ball in an instant. Pew! The black ball shot out, drawing a curved black trajectory in the air and smashing on the ground. It missed. This Thunder Crown wolf is finished, its aiming sucks. The clan elders shouted about, but Fong Yuan flew even faster. Bam! The black ball of mist exploded, and under that intense impact, the black mist spread all over the place. The speed was faster than the eye could see. In a short moment, it covered over 100 li, 1 li equals 500 m, of radius. This is the rank 4 wolf smoke Gu. Fang Yuan's heart sank. He had made the most logical response at the first moment. But the black wolf smoke spread too fast, completely enveloping him. At once, he felt like he was standing in the middle of the night sky, seeing nothing but darkness. Everywhere was thick smoke, making breathing difficult, and was extremely uncomfortable. But thankfully he had the thunder wings Gu, so as long as he flew up, he could get out of the wolf smoke's range. Crack! In the next moment, a lightning bolt struck, splitting the thick black smoke apart like a thunder snake or a raging dragon, traveling over 100 li and assaulting Fang Yuan head-on. The lightning leakin attacked. The lightning was so fast a person could barely react to it. But at this crucial moment, Fang Yuan's battle instinct surpassed the speed of his thoughts, reacting in advance. Thunder Shield Gu. Sky Canopy Gu. A round lightning shield appeared in front of Fang Yuan, and on his body a white armor appeared as well. The raging lightning shone at an eye-piercing brightness like a heavenly dragon roaring, ramming onto the lightning shield. The shield lasted less than a second before it broke under the intense force of the lightning. The lightning landed on Fang Yuan. At that moment, even though he already shut his eyes, he still felt the light piercing through his pupils. An intense force assaulted him, causing him to fall. He was about to faint as the electric currents moved, paralyzing his muscles, almost causing him to forget to breathe. Plop, he landed on the ground. He finally only managed to regain consciousness after intense pain surged through him like waves. He endured the intense pain and numbness, and tried to get up. The Thunder Shield Gu was already dead, while the Thunder Wings Gu was hit and barely held on to life. It was impossible to use anymore. The Sky Canopy Gu was injured heavily too, looking rather dispirited. After all, it was hit by such a strong electric current. The Lightning Leakin's attack emitted a rank 4 Gu worm's full power. The more a Gu worm advances, the bigger the difference between realms. For the attack of a rank 4 Gu worm, at least 2 rank 3 Gu would be needed to defend against it. However, the Lightning Shield Gu died because the previous battle had already caused it to sustain much injuries. To think that this Lightning Leakin thought so highly of me. Fang Yuan laughed bitterly, observing the surroundings. His surroundings were dark, full of thick smoke. Fang Yuan was unable to tell directions. Be careful, that Thunder Crown Wolf became smaller. It is now as small as a normal lightning wolf and is hiding among the pack, a clan elder shouted at this time from the smoke. Fang Yuan heard it and his iris shrunk. This lightning leakin was too crafty, and very sinister. It probably wanted to eliminate all these Gu masters, and when it attacked Fang Yuan, it showed that it did not want to let a single one of them off. The surroundings quickly shone with countless wolf eyes. The sounds of their growls and the sound of the wind from wolf packs running about were all heard by Fang Yuan. Under such a dark environment, the Gu master's vision is greatly obstructed. But the wolf packs were unaffected, because they had given up on smell and gained excellent vision. I have to get out of here quickly. Who knows if I will encounter that lightning leakin. Even if I do not meet it now, just being surrounded by the wolf packs when I only have 40% primeval essence, it is insufficient to sustain my expenditure. Fang Yuan quickly considered in his heart, then he activated the earth communication ear grass. Over 10 roots grew out from his ear and extended outside. Many voices were heard. There were wolf cries, battle noises, clan elders' frantic growling and lightning wolves' sad cries when dying. Too confusing. The Earth communication ear grass range was huge, but it could not discern small details. Fang Yuan frowned, only listening to a direction with less noises. But quickly he encountered a pack of over 100 wolves. Lightning wolves ran from the black smoke, each ferocious as ever. Fang Yuan summoned the chainsaw golden centipede and activated the sky canopy Gu. The razors rotated violently and the centipede was like a large sword, cutting through the black smoke and landing on the wolves' bodies, causing a rain of blood and bones. Fang Yuan attacked like a boat trying to row uphill, eliminating his obstacles. Numerous lightning wolves died under the chainsaw golden centipede. But then the second, third, they continued to assault him. This lightning leaken is too sinister and diabolic, actually making the lightning wolves surround us from the back. Fang Yuan had been moving in one direction, and after rushing for a while, he realized the truth at once after he kept encountering lightning wolves. He battled as he retreated. After a while, he was bathed in blood. The pressure was too large, the surroundings were covered in darkness, he was unable to see anything. Wolf packs rushed in from all directions, and it was difficult for him to deal with it alone. Guyubo, what do you say? At this time, the Bai clan leader said from within the dark smoke. All right, let's work together and get out of this first. Guyubo shouted, quickly replying. This was the forced circumstance of the situation, only through cooperation can they have a chance of survival. Otherwise, by fighting alone, they would soon expend all their primeval essence on the lightning wolves and be turned into food. That would surely be a bad ending. Howl. Fuck. In the next moment, with a wolf's cry, an intense explosion was heard and the two clan leaders shouted, no longer able to organize the clan elders. Evidently, the lightning leaken came out and did a sneak attack. It had a man's intelligence after all. Once it attacked, it was able to interfere with the two clan leaders' plan, and ruined the flow of the clan elders' resistance. Without the two clan leaders to suppress the scene, how can the clan elders work sincerely together? This was a huge question. I'm unable to go on. My primeval essence expenditure is too high, I need to borrow strength from others. After killing for a while, Fang Yuan felt exhaustion. He had the strength of two boars, but now he felt extremely sore all over. His primeval essence was no longer enough. He had injuries all over him, but he was forced to stop using the sky canopy Gu. The chainsaw golden centipede's body was dim, its razors already in bad shape. In a short period of time, it had killed up to 1,000 wolves, and within that number, there were bold lightning wolves as well. A few of them were harder than steel, because they had a defensive Gu. The chainsaw golden centipede was not invulnerable, and without razors, its attack strength would be greatly reduced, quickly becoming useless. Fang Yuan did not prolong any battles, he quickly moved as he fought. He relied on the earth communication ear grass to analyze the situation. Once he heard a frenzy lightning wolf's footsteps, he would change directions and try to avoid them. The frenzy lightning wolf was 1,000 beast king, he could not fight it alone. Once he was pulled into battle, he would fall into encirclement, and that would be a dead end. I'm not satisfied. From the thick smoke, a clan elder cried as his voice came to an end. From the black smoke, the wolf packs attacked, and many clan elders died by the wolf's mouths, growling in helplessness and indignance. I can't hold on much longer either. Fang Yuan felt the aura of death, but he was still calm. The more dangerous it is, the calmer his mind. His heart did not waver at all. In his previous life, he had been in worse situations. The situation right now was still not that bad. With the two clan leaders fighting the lightning leaken, Fang Yuan still had a chance. Oh! Fighting sounds ahead. Fang Yuan heard the noise and changed his direction. He was at his limits, so no matter if it was the Guyu clan or the Bai clan Gu masters, they were useful to him either way. Kill! 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 Far away, he heard this Gu master screaming, battling relentlessly. Fang Yuan sprinted over, and suddenly came to a stop. By Ning Bing. Chapter 169, Finding a Path. Bai Ning Bing's body was laden with injuries. He was breathing raggedly and looked like a mess. When Fang Yuan got there, both were stunned. Fate was indeed a mysterious thing. Just not long ago, they were still mortal enemies, wanting to kill each other. But in this moment, they had to work together for the chance to survive. Working together with Bai Ning Bing. Fang Yuan's eyes shone like the abyss, evaluating, although Bai Ning Bing is batshit crazy, along with the fact that he also recognized his own fate, that does not mean he gave up on living. A will to live was a person's natural instinct, the most basic requirement of all. The truth is, because of Bai Ning Bing's intense will to live and because he was facing an unavoidable path of destruction, he developed such a personality. In this world, there are no eternal enemies. Working together with Bai Ning Bing was the best solution. But how can he ask it in a way that can convince him? He, Fang Yuan, to think it's actually you. Bai Ning Bing spoke first, laughing loudly, his tone becoming aggressive, then die together with me. With you dying alongside me, it shall be an interesting end to my life. Interesting? Fang Yuan had a thought. Smiling lightly, he approached Bai Ning Bing. The surrounding lightning wolves attacked, but Fang Yuan shrugged his hand, the chainsaw centipede swinging and killing 3 lightning wolves on the spot, sending them flying. Up till now, the chainsaw golden centipede's 2 rows of razors were already greatly damaged. Its cutting strength was greatly diminished. It could only be used as a blunt object. Under the pressure of these wolves, let's have an intense life and death battle, isn't that more fun? Fang Yuan got closer to Bai Ning Bing, his mouth curling into a cruel smile. Bai Ning Bing's eyelids trembled, he did not expect Fang Yuan to be a greater maniac than him. But this was in tandem with his wish. If Fang Yuan's attitude had gone softer, and in order to survive Fang Yuan wanted to work together and escape, he would instead look down on Fang Yuan, even feeling humiliated and wanting to kill Fang Yuan himself. In this world, some people are like this. If you be kind to them, they will feel that you are easy to bully, and look down on you. By having a strong attitude towards them, you can gain respect instead. You really want to die? Then I'll grant your wish. Bai Ning Bing squinted his eyes, emitting a dangerous aura. Fang Yuan laughed heartily, his step slow as he spoke in an old and experienced tone. Humans only live for 100 years, it is as unreal as a dream that ends in an instant. What is the point of a person living in this world? No more than just being on a journey, and witnessing interesting things. Although I do not want to die, I do not fear death. I am already on my right path, I have no regrets even if I die. This was Fang Yuan's true feelings. Since the start of time itself, who could live forever? Even if it was a rank 9 Gu master. Or even Ren Zhu himself who could only live longer, but not forever. They eventually face destruction. So be it if one dies, what's the big deal? Even if in the next moment, Fang Yuan dies in this wolf tide, he would have no regrets. Because he had already worked hard for his goals. He had given it his all, and lived all according to his will. Being able to look beyond life and death. Only then can one live unrestrained, only then can life have true freedom. Bai Ning Bing heard this, and his entire body shuddered. He kept saying he was not afraid to die, but he was still never free and at ease. Because he could not see beyond death, and was unable to let go of this life. When a person fears, he becomes a slave. Bai Ningbing himself was just a slave to life and death. However, this was not his fault, since he was still way too young. Many things needed to be experienced by themselves, only then can one gain enlightenment. But now, Fang Yuan's words gave him a new path, to go beyond the truth that he is struggling with. Witnessing interesting things, already on your path, no regrets even if you die. Bai Ningbing muttered, then suddenly asked, "Path, what's a path?" Fang Yuan laughed coldly, getting closer. "Everyone has their own paths, I don't have to tell you mine, and how would I know yours?" In this world, many people do not have a path through their entire lifetime, while some walked on their path constantly struggling, trying to find the sanctuary within the darkness. Bai Ningbing's blue eyes suddenly shone with a blinding light. "Path, that's right, I must find my path." In this moment, the excitement in his heart was impossible to be understood by others. He was like a man, bitterly searching for a girl but to no avail, yet one day he finds the correct method. Or like a treasure hunter, blocked at the last puzzle for a long time, but one day he finds the method to solve the puzzle. Or like a difficult question, thinking for years without an answer, but suddenly finding the method to solve it. Bai Ningbing had no path and couldn't find the meaning of his life, thus he felt lost. Fang Yuan cannot solve his feeling of being lost, but from the sidelines he can give him hope. Giving him a consolation to face death, as long as you are on your path, even if you die there are no regrets. Thus, death is no longer so scary. I feel that I am about to find my own path. Bai Ningbing clenched his fists, his expression becoming extremely excited. He looked towards Fang Yuan, saying meaningfully, "I finally understand our difference. You are on your own path, but I am still trying to find mine." He. He suddenly laughed, his expression turning crazy. "Fang Yuan, if you want to fight, I'm all for it. But not now. Let's work together. I have the lightning Gu, but my vision is obstructed, only able to see 30 steps ahead. Once we escape from here, let's have a battle another day. Being able to work together with my mortal enemy, don't you find that more interesting, more fun?" "Oh, how can I believe you?" "I'm not asking for you to believe me. You can choose to trust me, or not. You can entrust your back to me, or you can strike at any time, and sneak an attack on me. It all depends on your mood." Bai Ningbing shrugged as he smiled, showing an inborn nonchalance. The thick smoke was all over, and their surroundings were lit with wolf cries. Fang Yuan's eyes narrowed as he considered Bai Ningbing's suggestion. Convincing a person is very difficult, yet very simple. The important thing is accurately understanding their thoughts. "All right." Fang Yuan stretched out his hand and caressed the chainsaw golden centipede's armor, raising his head, "But be on guard for my sneak attack anytime." He. Bai Ningbing's mouth curled, smiling very deviously. A wave of air blew as the black smoke dispersed, and the broken arm's sleeve swayed in the wind. In the thick smoke, to decide the direction, it was difficult. The more narrow their vision, the more easy it is to get lost. Bai Ningbing had the lightning Gu and could see up to 50 steps ahead. But now, it was restricted by the thick smoke, so he could see less than 30 steps ahead. However, this was already much better than Fang Yuan's normal vision. While Bai Ningbing had the lightning Gu, he could not see the entire topography, and had no clear understanding of the situation. He could only see what was ahead of him, and at times he even ran into a wolf pack and got surrounded by them. Fang Yuan, on the other hand, had the earth communication ear grass. The smoke reduced vision, but could not block sound from being transmitted. The surroundings were noisy, and the earth communication ear grass could hear up to 200 steps away, but Fang Yuan could only move according to the noise. His vision was too narrow, only able to see a tree or a rock right in front of him. Without anything to compare to, he could not discern his direction. Cooperation. By Ningbing's lightning Gu, together with Fang Yuan's earth communication ear grass. The two Gu together, complementing each other, caused the situation to be easier. This is the southern side. Going this direction, we'll get to the Guyu village. Bai Ningbing's eyes glowed with lightning as he said. No, there's too many wolf packs there, we have to take a roundabout route. Fang Yuan's right ears had roots flying around. Hee, then we'll go around the southeast direction, how about that? Bai Ningbing licked his lips. Fang Yuan squatted down, extending the roots into the soil and listening attentively. During that period, the lightning wolves that rushed up were all killed by Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan listened for a while, before standing up. There's an opening in the southeast direction, but we have to hurry, the opening is going to be filled. Let's charge then. Bai Ningbing said, but did not move immediately. He still had some guard against Fang Yuan. He did not dare to attack ahead and reveal his back to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan laughed coldly, he was also full of qualms towards Bai Ningbing. Eventually, the two killed their way through shoulder to shoulder, with a distance of 5 steps between them. The lightning wolves howled, attempting to kill them. But relying on the lightning Gu and earth communication ear grass, Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing could avoid strong enemies and continue to roam, finding an opportunity to break through. The advantage of having information was unveiled here. Bai Ningbing and Fang Yuan, if alone, they would be trapped by numerous wolves. But now that they worked together, they could control the initiative and started to have an easy time. After charging for a while, the path ahead of them was suddenly clear, and the bright sunlight caused both of them to squint. We're out. Bai Ningbing laughed loudly. Fang Yuan looked back, only to see a thick black veil behind him, as if a black pot had covered the entire mountain. The intense smoke continued to emit sounds of explosions and screams. Evidently the two clan leaders were still fighting the lightning leakin. To think that working with you is actually quite pleasant. Bai Ningbing turned his body, smiling lightly. I feel the same way too, Fang Yuan also smiled lightly. But in the very next moment, both of their eyes shone sharply. Iceblade Gu. Chainsaw Golden Centipede. The long ice blade cut through the air with a cold light. The thick golden centipede attacked head-on and carried the howling of the wind. Bam! Both sides collided. The ice blade cut a wound on the golden centipede's body, but broke right after. Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing both took a step back, both of their eyes emitting intense killing intent. Their temporary cooperation could not change their enemy status. Fang Yuan's black hair danced in the wind, while Bai Ningbing's white shirt swayed, both had too much in common. Precisely why they became natural enemies. Black iris against blue orbs, almost creating sparks in the air. Both of their killing intent slowly dispersed. Humph, this is but a dying man. Even without me interfering, heaven will take his life. What's most important now isn't Bai Ningbing but the heavenly essence treasure lotus. Once the lightning leakin attacks Guyu village, it's most likely game over. I have to strike before that, while I have the chance. Fang Yuan analyzed, his eyes narrowing. Bai Ningbing's eyes became even brighter, muttering, path, no regrets, that's right, even Ren Zhu has to die. Humans live and die. So as long as I can live an interesting life, what harm is there even if I die? Thinking so, his eyes glowed with an intense brilliance. Ha ha ha. I've finally found my path, and that is to witness this world's brilliance. Fang Yuan, we will battle another day. I hope that by then, your death can bring some light into my life." Saying so, he leapt backwards continuously. After pulling apart some distance, he turned around, leaving. Although he was in a mess, his body full of injuries and his face covered in soot, with only one arm left, but his back was straight like a sword, he was no longer lost. He had found his path. In other words, he had truly become himself. Chapter 170, Can the Blood of Incorruptible Justice Be Cold? Fang Yuan watched Bai Ningbing's figure walk until he was far away. Witness this world's brilliance. His two black pupils flashed with an imposing light. The Bai Ningbing who was no longer bewildered was more dangerous than before. Life and death no longer bothered him, and the closer he was to death, the more he would display the incomparable grace of the northern dark ice soul physique. However, wanting to fight me later, heh. Fang Yuan suddenly chuckled, "You are bound to be disappointed." The instant he came out of that thick smoke, Fang Yuan had decided to leave Qingmao Mountain. It would be interesting to fight with Bai Ningbing, but it was of no benefits to him. Bai Ningbing had set the definition of brilliance on Fang Yuan, and that was because he was young and his view of the world was limited to Qingmao Mountain. Fang Yuan, however, was different. In his grand plan since his rebirth, Qingmao Mountain was only a starting point. As long as the heart possessed great ambitions, one was bound to be broad-minded, not being constrained by small details with others. It's time to leave. The lightning lichen is more cunning and more difficult to handle than the thunder crown wolf. Just with Bai clan or Guyu clan's current strength, it will be difficult to withstand its attacks. Unless a rank 5 expert appears and turns the tide, or maybe if the two clans ally. Bai clan and Guyu clan had deep grudges against each other. They would ally if the situation came to that point, but the alliance wouldn't be sincere. Fang Yuan wasn't optimistic about this prospect. Qingmao Mountain's state will be determined by this battle. If the two clan leaders are both killed by the lightning lichen, Qingmao Mountain will become the lightning wolves' territory. If one clan leader survives, then with the alliance, the other clan will only become cannon fodder. If the lightning lichen is killed, the two clans will definitely have to rehabilitate due to the severe casualties. The clan will tidy up its internal affairs and I will be investigated. Fang Yuan could clearly see the changes that could occur through this. This is the world of Gu, and in here an individual's strength can rule over the group. Thus, the higher the cultivation of a Gu master, the more power he has to turn the tide. No matter the Bai clan or Guyu clan or the Lightning Wolf packs, as long as another rank 4 expert appears among any of them, the outcome would be a foregone conclusion. However, no matter the situation, they were all disadvantageous to Fang Yuan. It is time to leave. Although I still lack the ideal healing Gu, how can one have everything he wishes for? After returning to the village, I will take the Heavenly Essence Lotus and then take out a healing Gu from the clan's storage before leaving immediately. Fang Yuan gave one last look behind him. The sound of intense explosions were still coming from the black smoke. He turned around and left, rushing towards the Guyu village. With his status as an elder, he could forcefully open the clan's storage and take out primeval stones as well as Gu worms. There was unrest all around, people were frightened. It was the best time to take advantage of the situation. If this chance was let go, no matter what the battle outcome is, the general situation would be set, making it difficult to take advantage. Thunderwing's Gu couldn't be used for the moment, so Fang Yuan could only run quickly through the forest. The wolf tide had ravaged everything in its path, making the once dangerous pathways peaceful and safe. Soon, Fang Yuan was able to see the Guyu village in the horizon. Who are you? Fang Yuan swiftly stopped. Two strangers had appeared in front of him. These two were both wearing Gu master's clothing. One was an elderly man. He was tall and his back was ramrod straight, giving a sense of being as steady as a mountain and as profound as a deep pool. The most eye-catching part was the copper mask that he was wearing on his face. The mask was of a plain design and gave an antique feeling. There were 3 openings on it, revealing the wearer's eyes and mouth. His eyes showed the vicissitudes of life and revealed a grand and righteous aura. His lips were pursed up, the contour in between as sharp as a blade, hinting at this man's firm willpower. The mask didn't cover his ears, exposing his graying temple hairs and revealing that this man should be of an older age. The one next to the man was a youth with eyebrows that were as upright as a sword, and eyes that were bright and shining, periodically sending out sharp glances that looked like an eagle or a tiger's. Looking at this appearance, the youth's age should be similar to Fang Yuan. However, this person's belt had a silver plate on it, carved with the character 3. So young and already a rank 3 Gu master, this showed amazing talent in cultivation. This was a young genius. However, Fang Yuan's gaze only paused a moment on this youth, before turning towards the senior. This youth had a slight dark complexion with similarly pursing lips, the entire body releasing a sharp and professional aura, definitely not someone to be underestimated. But the slightly bulging chest area along with the structure of the limbs and throat allowed Fang Yuan to instantly see through her identity as a girl. Fang Yuan would never look down on women, but compared to this heroic girl, the identity of the middle-aged man beside her would shock anyone. Tai Xueleng. Fang Yuan's mind jolted, he inwardly recalled the identity of this middle-aged man. The man was wearing a copper mask, and the square amethyst plate on his belt was carved with the character 5. He was the rank 5 Gu master, enforcer of the law, a great detective, the #1 investigator of the southern border, divine investigator Tai Xueleng. He was impartial and merciless in upholding justice. Many demonic path cultivators had been arrested by him and many vile characters beheaded. He was the model example of the righteous path, and had made a very high reputation for himself by solving countless cases as he traveled throughout the southern border. "Little brother, please wait." Tai Xueleng cupped his hands to Fang Yuan. He had already made a name for himself for a long time and was also a rank 5 Gu master, but his attitude was polite and amiable. Seeing little brother's state of injuries and hurried appearance, "Did your esteemed clan leader and elders encounter trouble?" he asked. Fang Yuan automatically changed his expression to that of anxiety and astonishment, while mixed within them were doubts and fear. "Who are you guys? How do you know this?" "Right, we were chasing after a thunder crown wolf but we ran into trouble by encountering a lightning lichen. I am hurrying back to request reinforcements." "I am Tai Xueleng, I am an ally, not your enemy. I just came from Guyu village." "Little brother, you don't need to return for reinforcements, the beast tide concerns all humans and we need to join hands to face it. This Tai shall contribute all he can." Tai Xueleng immediately took this task upon himself. "Even think that I, Guyu Bo, will die here today." Guyu clan leader and by clan leader were full of injuries and had almost exhausted their primeval essence. Right now, they could sense the grim aura of death. The thick smoke had already dispersed. All the elders had died, and only these 2 clan leaders were left. The lightning lichen also didn't fare well. Its body had some deep wounds from which one could see its bones. It bared its teeth and retreated to the back of the lightning wolf packs, its eyes flashing with a sly look as it retreated from fighting in the front lines. "Come, you coward!" the Bai clan leader furiously roared. However, the lightning lichen kept on retreating backwards and then let out a howl, commanding the ordinary lightning wolves to charge towards these 2 rank 4 Gu masters. "Cunning bastard!" Guyu Bo and Bai clan leader looked at each other and sighed. They had prepared to make a strong counterattack before dying, but the lightning leakin had a wisdom that didn't lose out to humans and wasn't fooled. My life is over. Damn this, we are going to die in these ordinary lightning wolves' mouths. Just when these two clan leaders were becoming extremely distraught, a voice suddenly arrived from a distance. Two leaders, hang in there for a moment. The voice echoed through the mountain forests. The two clan leaders' bodies jolted and they immediately turned to look, noticing a tall figure rushing towards them. The figure repeatedly flashed, freely moving through the wolf packs. After a few moments, the figure stood beside the two clan leaders. You are? The two clan leaders asked at the same time. My name is Tai Xueleng. Gasp. The Bai clan leader drew in a long breath in shock. He was surprised, joyous and also puzzled. Why was Tai Xueleng here? Gu Bo, on the other hand, was aware of the reason as he joyfully said, so it is divine investigator Tai. Just as he said this, the wolf packs charged in. A bunch of foul creatures. Tai Xueleng's tongue seemed to burst with thunder, and with a low shout he willed a gu in his aperture. Boom! A formless aura suddenly erupted, radiating and engulfing everything. This aura was like a mountain, indomitable and unshakable. It was like the heaven itself as it overlooked the world and saw through everything. Righteous Gu. Only a Gu master who had a righteous heart could use it. The righteous aura could weaken vile creatures. Within its range, the lower the willpower of his enemies, the more the weakening effect. Tai Xueleng had once used this Gu to make a rank 4 Gu master lose his fighting strength and surrender completely. This was the supreme art of subduing enemy without fighting. Howl howl. The lightning wolves' momentum stopped. Their limbs were trembling under the pressure of this aura, and they didn't dare to move forward. Hoo! The lightning leakin gave out a battle cry from the back, trying to command these lightning wolf packs. Such nerve! Tai Xueleng glared and suddenly stretched out his right hand, making a grabbing motion towards the lightning leakin. Rumble! Ripples spread in the sky, and an enormous black iron hand tore the sky apart and grabbed towards the lightning leakin. Rank 5 Iron Fist Grappling Gu. The lightning leakin was cunning, but it lacked bravery. In addition to that, its body was riddled with wounds, so it didn't dare to resist this move head-on, and instead quickly dodged. However, this black iron hand had firmly locked onto the lightning leakin, and it kept on chasing. The lightning leakin wasn't able to escape from it. Its vicious personality was stimulated, it gave a loud roar and fiercely collided against the black iron hand. The enormous hand shattered, but the lightning leakin received serious injuries. Almost all its bones were on the verge of shattering. It let out miserable whimpers but didn't dare to fight Tai Xueleng again. Finally, it resentfully looked at Tai Xueleng and the two clan leaders, before it tucked its tails and ran away. It is about to escape. Quick, stop it! The two clan leaders shouted, but Tai Xueleng stood on the spot and didn't move. Divine Investigator, please finish it, Gu Bo cupped his hands and implored. Tai Xueleng slightly shook his head. At this time, Fang Yuan and the young girl finally arrived. They had seen how the lightning leakin had been forced away by the iron hand. Dad! Why did you do that? You are injured. The young girl quickly approached Tai Xueleng and stamped her feet in anger. Her reproaching tone was full of concern. Ruonan, this lightning leakin is very cunning. Chasing it away by force is the best way to deal with it. Tai Xueleng spoke, when suddenly his body slightly trembled. Puff! He spurted out blood from his mouth. There was a strange, gloomy greenish color in his blood, and as the blood fell on the ground, it immediately corroded a patch of green grass, letting out an unpleasant smoke. Clearly, he had suffered serious injuries. "Dad, are you okay?" The young girl, Tai Ruanan, quickly lifted her hands and tried healing Tai Xueleng. "No need to make a fuss about it, you know of my injuries, I will feel a lot better after letting out some blood." Tai Xueleng laughed and waved his hands, refusing the treatment. Seeing this scene, the two clan leaders who had been feeling resentment just before, immediately felt embarrassed. "Divine Investigator is selfless, you helped us even though you are suffering from serious injuries. We will deeply remember this favor. I have heard of Tai Xueleng's great name, and today I can see that it is fully justified and worthy of admiration. We thank Divine Investigator for saving us." The two clan leaders cupped their hands one after another and expressed their thanks. "Lord Divine Investigator, please honor my Bai village with your presence. This gratitude of saving my life, I will do my best to repay." The Bai clan leader said. How could Gu Yubo just watch as the Bai village tried to bring Tai Xueleng away? He knew why Tai Xueleng was here, and gave a proud smile. "I know that Lord Divine Investigator is here due to Jia Fu's request and has come to investigate that murder case. Our Guyu clan will do our best to cooperate." Bai clan leader's expression changed when he heard this. Tai Xueleng said, "It is so. However, the one in charge of this investigation won't be me, but my daughter Tai Ruanan." Immediately, everyone present turned to look at the young girl.